Our meeting in Lynchburg. Pleased to be here today and look forward to your participation in our meeting. We're going to introduce our commissioners first. At the end, I know we have two of them online. We have Dr. Lister and Warren G. Feller both online. But I'll go to my left, Commissioner Emery Cross. Please introduce yourself and we'll go down the line.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Emerick Cross, Kansas City.
Will Carpenter, El Dorado.
Keith Mark, Baser.
Bruce Riedel, Ellenwood.
That's me.
And you wave, but Dr. Lister and you want to say hello and
Hello
Commissioner
from
G. Feller?
Pittsburgh.
Maybe not yet. I'll go over to the secretary's table. Mr. Secretary.
Christopher Kennedy, Secretary for the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks.
Stuart Schrog, Deputy Secretary of Operations.
Kurt Wired, Chief Counsel.
Thank you very much.
We also got Warren on my team.
Oh, very good. Welcome, Warren.
Thank you, Warren Gefeller from Russell.
Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda coming from staff or commissioners? All right, making progress. We have the minutes from our last meeting from April in the packet. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Department report. Public hearing on administrative rules and regulations, night vision hunting and duplicate boat decal fees. John Beckman, you're going to talk to us about that. Dr. Beckman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commission. John Beckman, Wildlife Division, Assistant Director of Research. Just covering some things that we've covered quite a bit over the last several commission meetings, but what we're talking about is the fee regulation, which is KAR 115-2-1, and two different components of this: the night vision coyote hunting season permit fee structure and the duplicate voter registration decal fee structure. You guys have taken this up. It's been through the promulgation process, and so I think today we're ready for an official vote. But just to remind you of what you would be voting on is the proposed change to the regulation for the night vision coyote hunting permit. The fee would move from $2.50 for residents to $27.50. And for non-residents, it would go from $2.50 to $52.50. which would lead to an annual revenue of $174,100. At the same time, the duplicate voter decal registration would change the current fee of $0 and reestablish that back to a $10 fee to cover cost. And based on the 5-year average, this would lead to a total annual revenue of about $12,570. And so if there's any questions at this point, I will stand for those.
Is there questions from the commission on these two changes? I know in the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules and Regulations, I believe Commissioner Carpenter appeared and spoke. I submitted a letter in support of that. I don't know, Commissioner Carpenter, if you have any comments about what the feedback was from the JCAR committee or that you'd like to offer, but they didn't seem to have objection.
No, I think it went well. They didn't have any questions or anything else.
Very good. Any comments from staff?
I'll just add that Representative Corbett asked that the agency consider exempting landowners from purchasing this permit, but that was I think a request that came up during the meeting, and they talked about making it a committee suggestion, but eventually settled on having it just come from Representative Corbett himself. So that was noted in the report. There was an additional question. I don't think it's necessarily germane here, but I answered for JCAR, but otherwise I think we've satisfied their requests.
Very good. Before we take action, is there comments from anyone in the audience on this regulation? Yes, sir. Please identify yourself for the group. Tell us what's on your mind.
Tyson's here with Kansas Night Hunter Association. Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners, Secretary, and members of the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks. Again, my name is Tyson, speaking on behalf of Kansas Night Hunters Association. First, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to address the commission and for your continued dedication managing Kansas wildlife resources for the benefit of everyone who enjoys our outdoors. Our organization is here today to respectfully request that the commissioner consider allowing raccoons to be legally harvested at night with modern night hunting equipment. The request is rooted in conservation, responsible wildlife management, and the needs of Kansas landowners. Across the state, raccoon populations have grown substantially over the years. A lot of raccoons are native. They've also become one of the most common nuisance animals affecting rural landowners. Their impact extends beyond nuisance concerns. We've got more information on that in the edition of the Kansas Sportsman. If you'd like to read, I think I sent copies to everyone, and I did provide this in your packet today that they should distribute to you, along with a copy of the speech and our proposal. Kansas has invested millions of dollars in conservation programs designed to improve wildlife habitat, allowing sportsmen another effective and ethical method of managing raccoon populations would complement those habitat efforts rather than replace them. Today's thermal and night hunting vision equipment allows hunters to positively identify their target with exceptional clarity before taking a shot. These technologies have greatly improved both safety and ethical decision-making in the field. KNHA represents responsible hunters who are committed to following regulations, respecting private property, and promoting safe hunting practices. We've spoken with numerous landowners across Kansas who support expanding legal night hunting opportunities for raccoons because they experience the damage these animals cause firsthand. Many of these landowners are actively seeking additional help controlling raccoon populations on their property. This proposal is not about creating new recreational opportunity alone. It's also about providing another practical wildlife management tool for landowners and sportsmen while helping address an abundant species whose population is well capable of sustaining responsible harvest. We ask the commission to evaluate the issue and consider opening a public discussion on allowing raccoons to be harvested with legal night hunting equipment under appropriate regulations. We believe this change would benefit landowners and support conservation efforts and provide the public other effective means of managing one of Kansas's most adaptable and abundant wildlife species. Thank you for your time and service and your consideration. We appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the conversation and look forward to working with the department. And I did know one note that we looked, as well as a copy of that proposal that, and I believe I seen, thank you, on the fee increase for that it would match the current season sunset clause. And it was part of our second request with that proposal, that the fee increase that was proposed also expire at the time the current season date expires. And it looks like that was in the notes today on that part. So thank you for that. Any questions?
I've received your email. I appreciate that, Tyson. I think you probably understand there isn't anything we can do about that today, but I think
Certainly.
you bringing something to the commission, perhaps we can get some input from staff and look at this on a subsequent agenda of what other states are doing in this area and what is allowed. I know when we first started down this path, when I first came on the commission a couple of years ago, there were some concerns expressed by staff about thermal hunting above ground, so to speak. And so I think those are things that we would want to look at and have a conversation about.
Yeah, we'd be glad to. We
See
spoke
that
with,
in other states, but
Yep.
see how that is working. So do appreciate that. Are there questions from commissioners on Tyson's comments to us today? Anything from staff? Curtis, do you have anything on this? Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Tyson. Thank you for coming.
No, I don't have a question, but I do think, his point is very well taken. I think, it's something that we ought to look into. I think, and I don't know for a fact, but I think over 30 states maybe allow it with night vision. A lot of states, I think we can check this. If there's concerns, you know, you can limit it, like can't shoot them in trees. You know what I'm saying? You know, that concern could be eliminated by, you know, making the coons be on the ground or whatever. But I personally, and I would like to ask the secretary to, this is something I would like to put through the process and bring this up to where we can discuss it. Ultimately bring this up to a vote, and maybe promulgate a rule in this regard, because I think night vision hunting has proven to be effective in outdoor recreation enjoyment for a number of people in Kansas. We haven't heard any problems that have come to us, at least not enough that would be of concern. And I think we should add raccoons as legal game in night vision hunting. And so I would like to ask the secretary, whatever the pathway is, Mr. Ward, to put, you know, to get this on our agenda to work.
One thing I would just like to add in the conversation is that just reminding everybody that when we established this season, it was set up as a trial, and that hence the sunset clause. And talking to staff, it might be nice to be able to continue this at least maybe through the sunset clause before, so we can get some data on various issues, whether they be law enforcement or safety, those kind of things, so we can have the data to fully evaluate it before we would address it. But that's just thoughts from the staff on.
Well, we would know if there were problems. You'd bring that to us, wouldn't you? If there was safety issues, if there'd been any accidents, does any of the law enforcement know if there's been any accidents, or how many violations have there been? We could readily know that. We don't need to wait to the end. We can, and we shouldn't wait to the end. We should be monitoring that along the way. I mean, do we know of any problems?
I
that
think
we've
we are,
seen?
I think we are, and we'd be happy to have a conversation and put it on future agendas. I think also, you know, from the law enforcement perspective, there are several cases that are under investigation currently, and so we're not necessarily at liberty to talk about, but we'll be in the future.
When you say a lot, how many is that? I'm just trying to get my hands
Not at
around.
liberty. I don't want to damage the integrity of the investigations.
I don't want to damage the integrity of the investigations, but I want to know if it's 1 or 200. That should be public knowledge.
Certainly not 200.
Right.
It's certainly not one.
Well, I would just say that I don't want to wait till the sunset provision runs. I would rather bring it up, and if any of the problems that you indicate that might be out there, that can come up in the discussions when we discuss it, so we can make an informed decision as to whether it's something we want to go forward with or not. I think you make some very good points that should be evaluated, but I don't see why we should wait to get the discussion going.
I think in the next meeting or two, we're going to come up on the 1-year anniversary of that particular regulation, and getting annual feedback from staff, I think would be appropriate on how that implementation has gone.
Mr. Chairman, we can certainly make that happen.
Yes, sir. Welcome. Please identify yourself. Welcome back, and tell us what's on your mind.
Norman Mantle, Salina, Kansas. You're opening the door. If you let one, you're gonna have to let them all. Newton's law. People are not gonna report this stuff. I know of hunting and guide services, they don't report stuff. They don't. Because they'll get caught and they'll get in trouble. So Newton's law, if you open the door, you're gonna open it to all of us. We used to have port of entries too, in the state, didn't we? You used to allow us to use airplanes to hunt coyotes. You're opening the door. And people are gonna come through it.
Thank you, Norman. Yes, sir. Please identify yourself and let us know.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm Kent Rowe, 3353 North 159th Street East, Wichita. We did have an incident. We almost called the law enforcement on raccoon hunters. At first, we didn't know what it was. We have a wilderness area on our restored prairie area. This is Sedgwick County. And raccoon hunting was occurring, whereby either they were using muzzled dogs or infrared sights. But we heard the screaming of the raccoons out the back. And when it got closer, a couple of shots were also fired less than 150 meters from the house, in which time we had shrieked at them over a loudspeaker, a megaphone, to get out. This is too close to a house. Do not be firing. So this infringes on urban areas where raccoons are known to occur too. So where is that dividing line? Where is that going to go? And I've been out there for 30 years, and I have never seen what happened next, where there were 2 raccoons within days that had just come up and died. One near an incinerator, a wood burner, kind of a night thing, and one near a bird feeder. I had never seen that. Are they related? I would like to know. But we were very close. That was the next step, was to call law enforcement. And it was way late at night.
Appreciate your comments, Kent. I'm sure we'll have more if we go down the path of talking about raccoons. We're
Thank you.
focused today on the thermal hunting reg that we have in front of us. Any further comments related to that? If not, I think we need to vote on this. Is that correct, Curtis?
Correct. We need a roll call vote
So-
on this.
First of all, we need a motion and a second to advance this into the books.
I'd make a motion that we approve the non-resident thermal hunting regulations for coyotes
And the duplicate boat.
and the
Decal
duplicate
fees.
decal boat decal.
115-2-1. Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Any further discussion from the commission? If not, I think Megan, you call the roll. Is that correct?
Yep.
Thank you.
Commissioner Carpenter,
Yes.
Commissioner Cross.
Yes.
Commissioner Gefeller,
Yes.
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Commissioner Mark,
Yes.
Commissioner Rydell,
Yes.
and Chairman Dameron.
Yes,
Passes 7-0.
thank you. Thank you, Dr. Beckman.
Thank you very much.
Regulations in promulgation. Legal counsel Curtis Wired.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Sorry. So what you see here under subsection B are the list of regulations we have in promulgation. I'm happy to note that this is pretty out of date already after I put this together. 2.2 and 2.3 have been noticed up for the August meeting. It'll be voted on there. That regulation, if you recall, has a provision in it that doesn't become legally effective until the beginning of November, or I believe it's mid-November. Basically those fees will not increase until the next camping year. 25-9A, which I worked with Levi Jaster on developing durable language for our military units. That we successfully got through the process and noticed up with the Secretary of State. That will also be voted on in August. Hopefully that will prevent the need for returning to that regulation every year going forward.
Right.
And then 8-1, the non-resident waterfowl hunting. That again is the 1 p.m. closure that you discussed and moved into promulgation. I was able to get that through the process pretty fast and also get it noticed up for the August meeting. So that will be in place for this coming waterfowl season. Because I had to expedite 8.1 and 9A, and I held back on 8-25 because strategically that, if you recall, that would allow trail camera use during the summer months. I looked at the calendar, there was no way to get it into effect, legal effect for this year. So I moved it to the back so I could expedite the others. That is actually still being developed. I had intended to have it submitted to D of A, but that's not accurate in the agenda. I will get it to D of A next week, the language, and get it in the promulgation process. But it will be in legal effect for next year, for sure. With that, does the commission have any question about the regulations I have listed there?
Questions? Yes, sir, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Curtis, could you kind of go over the non-resident waterfowl hunting on public lands? What that bill entails?
Yeah, that regulation, if you recall, Commissioner, is, you asked us to establish a 12 p.m. You have to stop hunting, cease hunting at 12 p.m. on all public lands in the state of Kansas. And then by 1 p.m., and this is for non-residents only. And then by 1 p.m. had to be off of the property. So we, rather than work that into the reference document, this might be more detailed than what you want, but we decided to put that into the body of 8-1. So we didn't update the reference document there. It's all in the text is in the body of 115-8-1. And so you'll see that will be up for a vote in August, that precise language. And both the Attorney General has addressed the legality, and we've received his stamp, and DFA has signed off on it as well. So as budget.
So that just includes just the closing at noon?
Correct. And our department is still, and I know Deputy Secretary Schraw could speak more to this if needed, but we are in talks with Brandt on developing the draw system that we discussed. That is still moving apace. This is just the first step in the process. So the good news is that I got that. That was a pretty quick turnaround, but I did get it through the promulgation process and in place for this coming fall.
Very good. And then the non-resident waterfowl stamp bill goes into effect 1st of July.
Yes, well, the non-resident waterfowl stamp fee you see down in the workshop session, we have 2-1. That will come up. We'll put it in the regulation itself. But that can also be in place by this fall as well. We move it through the process, yes.
That was my concern, was that it be in place by this year.
It will.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further comments from the commission? Any comments from the audience in this process?
If I might, I also wanted to add, since there's not just a general legal update in the agenda here, I just wanted to add that there was a law that passed this last session, House Bill 2719, that included this provision that you should be aware of for the promulgation process going forward. Effective July 1st, all regulations, not just ours, but every agency there's been an added 15-day notice period before a regulation can be submitted to Department of Administration. So normally I just take it, we do a consensus vote here, kind of an informal vote, then I turn around and take it right to DFA. Now it's going to require a 15-day notice. It's not the regulation itself, it's just a notice that, please take notice that Department of Wildlife and Parks is considering, doing X, Y, and Z, a summary of the regulation. We're required, every agency is required to post that on their website. We're also required to submit it to the Secretary of State, where they'll put it on their website, and then they've developed a listserv that they'll blast that notice out on to certain people. I don't know exactly who's all on that listserv. And then the agency is required to send that notice to all 165 legislators 15 days before. So you have to do all that 15 days before you can submit it to DFA. So they're trying to workshop this internally. There's probably ways on certain regulations we can build this into the process before a consensus vote by this commission. If we believe that you guys are going to vote this regulation in, we can perhaps put the notice 15 days ahead of the meeting. And so that way, if there is a consensus vote, we can turn around and go ahead and do what we're doing. But otherwise, in some situations, that might not be the case. So just be aware, there's now yet another segment. Remember that graph long ago I put up on the screen of all the steps? Well, there's a new step there at the beginning. So I just want to advise the commission of that, and so that you're all aware of it.
Thank you very much. Further comments? Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, I believe we're up to you on the agenda. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner. I want to begin by thanking the commissioners, our staff, our partners, members of the public, and those of you that are joining us here in Lindensburg today, and those of you online. I want to start by saying this is a beautiful town. And I look forward to coming back and visiting. I really appreciated the view so far, and it's you can tell it's quite a treasure, and you all take pride in your town, and I'm always happy to visit places like that. Earlier this month, I visited historic Lake Scott State Park, where visitation in May hit an all-time high. I think it was like 42,000. It was a record-setting visit during the holiday weekend. It was a powerful reminder of how much Kansans enjoy outdoor spaces. It also reminded me of my time as a youth. When I was young, I spent, during the summers, most of my time was spent around somebody's water. Either I was wading in the creek, or we were at a reservoir, or playing on the Mississippi River or the Missouri River. And I thought about all the excursions that I've been on, whether it been in my private life or in my career, and how it's amazing that, I was able to remain safe that whole time. But I think it was mainly because my parents took safety very seriously. And in light of, being in this position that I'm in right now, I always hear the bad news first. It's just the nature of the job. The bad news comes to my desk first. And I'm thinking about how many incidents that we've had on the water already just this year. And it's not mounting. It's not looking good if we continue at this same rate of having instances all the way through the summer. And so I thought it would be a good time to really talk about what it means to be safe, especially as it pertains to the water. Safety is not an option. It's a fundamental part of recreation, especially around the water. Life jackets must be worn at all times, including when kayaking or in other paddlecraft. Safe operations mean knowing your vessel, staying aware of your surroundings, and never operating a boat while drinking. I witnessed an accident. Fortunately, it was not here in our state, but it was in one of the, I won't mention the state, but it was in another state. And an individual was driving his boat, bass boat, about 70 miles an hour, and he collided directly into another boat. Killed the individual that was in that other boat. And I started thinking about all the new technology that I purchased for my personal boat and how distracting that is as we drive our boats up and down our reservoirs. And so I in this age of technology, I just wanted to emphasize that we gotta maintain our awareness while we're on the water. And technology, especially oil drinking, should not prevent us from doing that. We all need to remember that drownings can happen even in shallow water. I remember working in Missouri where an individual that was intoxicated, he drowned himself in 2 feet of water. He literally, all he had to do was stand up. But because he was intoxicated, he could not do so. The Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks provides comprehensive boating education resources on our website at .gov/boating. Anyone under the age of 21 is required to complete an approved boater education course before operating a vessel, and we recommend this training for everyone who spends time on the water. Paddlers are twice as likely to drown as operators of other vessels, and many paddlers don't consider themselves boaters, even though the risks are very real. How many times have we seen paddlers paddling boats without life jackets on? Every paddler should wear a life jacket and should never paddle alone. Swimming in lakes is very different from swimming in pools with murky water, uneven bottoms, debris, and waves, and there are no lifeguards at our state parks, state park beaches. Swimmers should stay in the designated swim areas, never swim alone or at night, and never enter the water when they're under the influence of alcohol and drugs. Visitors should also watch for posted notices about blue-green algae and avoid the water when conditions indicate a harmful bloom may be present. It could be fatal to an individual or pets. Kansas offers incredible outdoor opportunities, but safety has to be a part of our culture and our shared responsibility. I encourage everyone to model responsible behavior, look out for one another, and help ensure that every visit to Kansas waters ends safely. Thank you for the opportunity to share these reminders. I look forward to hearing from the public next. I'm also looking forward to visiting some of the areas that are closer to the area we are today, and I'm look forward to visiting Canopolis State Park towards the end after our meeting today, and so we'll continue to visit and enjoy the wonderful outdoor spaces that Kansas has to offer. Thank you all. I appreciate you, Mr. Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Do we have questions of the secretary from commissioners?
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I want to tell you, you did a great job representing Kansas and the Department of Wildlife and Parks in your recent interview with Representative Davids, talking about the buffalo and some of the success stories in, you know, modern conservation across the country. But you're highlighting, you know, what we've done here in Kansas was refreshing, and I, for one, really appreciated it. Thank you.
I really thank you for those comments, and I'm just really reporting on the awesome work that our staff has done historically and still today. And so I take that opportunity to thank the staff for giving me so many good opportunities to represent the agency well. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
I do. I appreciate you bringing up the boater safety. Just, yeah, we've been out on the lake this summer and seen a lot of things that people just don't pay attention. Other states around us have kind of a grandfathered in their boater safety courses to where if you were born after a certain year, then you have to have it. Kansas just does a 21. Have you ever considered changing that to, you know, granted, we would have to set it to this date, but anybody born after, if they weren't 21 as of today, then they need to take boater safety before they operate a vessel on the water.
We haven't discussed it, but I'd be happy to bring it up with staff and maybe have future discussions here at commission meetings about.
I think it's a great idea that just because you're old enough to buy a boat and put it on the water doesn't mean you're capable of doing it.
Absolutely. Good point. Absolutely. Good point.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you.
Curtis, you're reaching for the microphone. Do you have anything else to say?
Just to Commissioner Rydell's point here, I'm double checking the statute. I think it's for anyone born after January 1st, 1989 is required to, but let me verify and I'll get back with you.
It's worded kind of strange in there, and I think it's enforced or written, you know, to where everybody understands it's just 21, but yeah, I've read that statute. It does kind of give a wording that requires everybody to have it, but I don't think that's ever been enforced.
Yeah, let me look more closely at the statute and we'll talk about it more later. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're now at the first of two opportunities for general public comment. You'll see on our agenda that we respectfully request you limit your comments to 10 minutes or less. If it's something that requires more time, we'll see if we can accommodate. And if it's something that is really of broad interest, then perhaps that's something we should schedule for an agenda item as opposed to public comments. So with that, we have one gentleman already to come up here. We're going to ask him to lead us off, identify himself for our group, and we'll go from there. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and Secretary Kennedy. I'm Felix Rivello, co-chair of the Conservation Committee of the Kansas chapter of the Sierra Club. Sierra Club in Kansas is 5,000 members strong with 20,000 members following on social media. So today, I'm coming forward to you to ask that you strongly consider prohibiting turtle racing in our state. And I'll go into the details as we move forward here. And I'm asking you to do this mainly for the benefit of the ornate box turtle. We know the populations are declining from science and scientific literature, and the scientists that I've talked to, researchers in the field. So this is very important for us. And our request stems from reports by Kansas Sierra Club members observing 2 turtle races in 2025. Those observations confirmed concerning reports from other sources. We are mobilizing to monitor more turtle races this year. Our attention to this issue was initially aroused in 2022 during discussions and debate on failed House Bill 2479. That bill proposed to eliminate all personal ownership of ornate box turtles in our state. It failed, but KDWP moved forward on this issue by reducing the numbers of individual species of reptiles that can be held by a person to just 2 individuals of the same species. And that applies to an entire residence. So I think KDWP moved forward. We applauded the effort and we made people know about that. But what we're finding out now that through scientific literature and again, discussions with experts, that turtle racing seriously threatens wild populations of ornate box turtles and likely other species of turtles in our state to this very day. What we found last year, many turtles confined in small containers in filthy conditions. These are very bad for turtles. It's a way of creating a vector disease problem of infected turtles infecting other healthy turtles. And there are many disease organisms, viruses, bacteria, and shell rot fungus that can be transmitted this way. And once these turtles are released, if they're released alive into the wild, they're likely to pass on this disease to wild turtle populations. A lot of these turtle races are held at county fairs and city festivals and, like Labor Day or a rodeo or something like that. And usually it's kids participating in this. And they get very excited. And in one city in particular, I saw a lot of children running around with turtles. I kind of collected my breath. But one turtle was dropped and it only lived for a short time after that. It just stopped moving. So these creatures aren't tough as rocks. They're flesh and bone inside. And it's just it's likely to occur in these types of venues. Then, of course, there was high potential of salmonella transmission to people, mainly children. I think we all know that salmonella is common in even seemingly healthy turtles. And we saw no evidence of warning children to keep their hands out of their mouths or no hand washing facilities. And salmonella is a dangerous organism. So we just want to make sure that we prevent that transmission to humans. So why this matters? Again, I mentioned infection can be carried into the wild. There's a disorientation or loss of turtles because they develop a mental map if they live long enough in a habitat. And I do think it's mostly by luck and by being hardy. They develop a mental map of where everything they move to survive is located. Food, shelter, hydration, all those issues, where to burrow for safety. Once these turtles become acclimated to that home range, some home ranges for ornate box turtles are as small as a football field. If they're removed from that home range, they can become disoriented and unable to find their life needs in time to prevent death. And there's one study that showed about half of the turtles that had been reintroduced or introduced into an unfamiliar habitat died. And then, of course, there's all the factors that most of us know. In fact, all of you here would consider too. You know, we've got complicating adverse factors such as habitat fragmentation, home development, commercial development, new roads, existing roads. We know what that does to terrestrial turtles. They've got a really kind of like an Achilles heel. Ornate box turtles have a very low reproduction rate. If they're lucky, a female might reproduce once a year, but not always. Sometimes maybe 2 nests, each about 6 eggs each. Little small creatures, very susceptible to predation by the common predators that are so prevalent in our habitat. So the other thing that in our review of the scientific literature, we found that even the loss of 1 or 2 females who don't reach reproductive age until about 10 years can cause an extinction of local populations. So again, it's really important to protect these creatures. And we probably, turtle races are probably not the way of going about that. And I'll even mention, rapidly warming climate is no help. It's degrading the habitat, environment in general. And many turtles are temperature dependent on gender development. Warmer temperatures in the nest can lead to more females than males, natural ratios. And we think that might be a potential, certainly in the future, for affecting adversely turtle reproduction. And I'd just like to conclude with these thoughts. I think it's difficult to overestimate the amount of damage that turtle races might be doing to our ornate box turtle populations and the other box turtles and other turtle species. There are over 100 turtle races in Kansas every year. Back in 2021, work done by the Turtle Conservation Group here in Kansas discovered over 140. So we've got between 100 and 140 turtle races in Kansas. And I know of at least one that has 200 turtles raced in that one race, in that one city. So there's a lot of potential for all the problems that we just discussed. I want to note also that the Kansas Department of Wildlife draft state wildlife action plan list the ornate box turtle as, I want to get this correct, species of greatest conservation need in all 14 terrestrial ecological focus areas identified in that plan. And the species of greatest conservation need are defined. Again, reading, make sure I get this correct. Oh, Secretary Kennedy, come after me. Wildlife species identified by state biologists as having low or declining populations, or as being highly vulnerable to threats, requiring proactive conservation attention to prevent them from becoming endangered. And of course, once they become endangered, that really adversely affects everything, the way people manage their ranches, their farms, development. If we can keep these things off the endangered list, it's good for people too. Of course, a healthy wildlife habitat's good for people as well.
Felix, I don't mean to cut you off, but if you could kind of bring us to a conclusion, we're mindful of the time a little bit, and I'd like to have an opportunity for the commissioners to.
Sure. Okay, ornate box turtles provide unique ecosystem services, the feeding on carrion, dispersing seeds and spores. Knowing the value of ornates in our ecosystems, and that KDWP itself recognizes their vulnerability, Kansas are starting to ask, why are ornate box turtles not better protected? Treating ornate box turtles or any other species of turtles like cheap toys in carnival-like events degrades the value of Kansas wildlife heritage. We can fix that by stopping turtle racing in Kansas. Kansas Sierra Club is ready and willing to be an ally in that endeavor. And to do that, to ensure that ornate box turtles and other turtles can always be seen where best in nature. Thank you. Appreciate any questions you might have, and also have some informational packets for you as well, including some of our education materials.
Thank you, Felix. Do we have questions or comments from the commission?
Actually, I have one. Are the biggest predators of newly hatched turtles coyotes and raccoons and possum? Did I read that right?
They are a huge problem. Yes, they are major predators of turtle eggs.
Does the Sierra Club support the department's attempt to reduce coyote and potentially raccoon populations like we have done in the past?
we support healthy, good wildlife management practices.
Right, so. if
In
they're-
general-
Well, I get it, but if they're the biggest predators of baby turtles, then surely your organization would support killing more raccoons and coyotes to try. Because obviously you're concerned with little kids at fairs mishandling them, so we should be concerned with these predators. So, I mean, you would support predator control just as you would, support little kid control.
Well, yes. My point is that we support hunting that reflects good wildlife management practices. And good wildlife management practices includes thoughtful, well-regulated hunting.
Right.
So if that helps you
Yes,
understand
thank
where
you.
we are.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for the question. And by the way, I'm glad you did ask that question. The Sierra Club is not an animal welfare organization. We do care about animals individually, but our main focus is on preserving wildlife populations in a healthy environment, rather than animal welfare issues. A lot of times the two issues overlap. In the case of the turtle races, there are some animal welfare concerns there as well. So if that helps.
Thank you, Felix. I know we've had presentations on this subject before. We do appreciate it. I know from, well, your comment that somewhat related legislation failed to advance in the legislative process. As an observation, I know that this commission or even the department is going down a path that is contrary to what the legislature would like. Those regulations get stopped in the process. Speaking personally on this matter, I have appreciated all of the information that's been brought to us over the years. I think if this is something that staff had researched and brings up to us from the kinds of work that our biologists do, I think that might be something that the commission might take further consideration on. But I do appreciate your time and all of the efforts of the people who've appeared before us over the last year and a half 2 years I've been on the commission.
Well, thank you. And we realize the service that you and all the Secretary of KDWP and the staff do for our wildlife heritage.
Thank you. We have, at this point in time, do we have further public comments? Yes, sir. Please come up and identify yourself.
Hey, real quick, I just want to say that as a biologist and an educator, I fully support what the Sierra Club is asking us to do. So I would hope that we consider that as a commission in the future.
Thank you, sir. Please identify yourself.
Greetings. My name is Jerry Snyder from Manhattan, Kansas. I'm also with the Kansas Sierra Club. And thank you for this opportunity to talk about the commission and the secretary too. I and several of our members here have been busy this past year. Not a year, but we've been working with the Public Lodge in terms of education on the ornate box turtle in particular. In that time, and just a few specific events, we collected signatures, seeing what the public's interest might be in this as well. So I'd like to distribute some of our petitions to you, if that's all right. And these petitions, I want to mention. I'll go ahead and distribute.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Chair.
First of all, I gathered some of these petitions, but also want to recognize some of our members here too. Only over a couple of events, just recently at the Earth Day at Sunset Zoo in Manhattan. I was greeted actually by several people, and actually we had several hundred people sign petitions there. Also on the Earth Day at Kansas State University, students from all over the state were very interested in the ornate box turtle, and they signed our petition. And essentially what the petition is once again, please stop all turtle races. And I guess our general theme here is please keep them in the wild. And you've heard Felix's background on the ornate box turtle. And I think that's the general consensus of everyone we talked to and everyone we met. It was overwhelmingly support of stopping these races for now and letting these populations come back, because they are definitely in decline. I also want to give credits to Lori in Wichita, Ted, and Margaret as well, in the Lawrence area, and Kent as well. But we also, just in a matter of a couple days, earlier this week, Sierra Club put an online petition on, and just within 3-4 days, we had over 200 signatures on that as well. So what you have in front of you is well over 600 signatures of people concerned about turtle racing here in Kansas. And we think this can make a big difference in terms of bringing these populations back. Okay, so that was my brief point on this. I just wanted to fill in with a couple other points that Felix had talked. Yes, the populations are in decline. We don't want to get to the point that it's going to be federally mandated to either be a threatened or endangered species. You really need to act now. One of the ways you can do that is going from 2 possession down to a 0 possession. I think that would be a really good start, and also would help curtail a lot of these things with the races. And I know this has been cultural, you know, it's a passion on a lot of people doing these, or just maybe a tradition, but times have changed, folks, and we really need to get serious on the ornate box turtle. Other things, I really urge you to work with Dr. Benjamin Reed of Washburn University. He's one of the lead people in our state right now, and the department really needs to get behind him in the science that he's been researching over a decade of material and information on the ornate box turtle. There's also general support from our zoos here in Kansas. And that's another group. Like I said, we were at Manhattan Sunset Zoo. They've expressed a huge interest about educating the public on this issue. And best of all, it's our state reptile. And I can't think of a better way of, especially your agency, getting behind this, you know, to support our state reptile. So that's about all I have to say on that. I just wanted to make sure you have these petitions in hand. If you look at those, where the people are from all over the state, I think you've got some really good base here to go by. And if you'd like some more petitions or more names on these petitions, please give us, you know, some encouragement. We can gather a lot more names. I believe the public is definitely in support of this. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. Questions for Jerry? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir, please.
Hello again, I'm Kent Rowe, 3353 North 159th Street East, Wichita, Kansas. Yes, I am here with Sierra Club as well to appeal to the equilibrium of the ecosystem for ornate box turtles and others. Why is this so important? Well, why was it important 56 million years ago? What happened then? Well, that was the Eocene, Pliocene. And this is where the alligator snapping turtle traveled north into the Arctic to live there, where the temperatures were not as hot as they were here because of the carbon dioxide levels in the rest of the hemisphere. They lived there and survived there to come down. And I would like to appeal to you from an ethnic kind of area. This is not an ornate box turtle, but it was found near a deep buffalo wallow behind our house in Sedgwick County. And there's others that I have found. They die a natural kind of death. I don't see any problems there. But I did inscribe. This is actually a calendar, and it's inscribed in Osage language. And it's Osage orthography. January Ho Badashte, moon of the long days. February is Miuko Disi, solitary moon. March, Miuko Odysseus Geges, idle days. April is Iwabi, planting moon. May is Hiawatha Kashtatni Kasta. Sorry, I didn't get it right. Moon with when the sensitive rose becomes red and bloom. It's down here. June, Setyaga Morona Iksabi. Moon when the buffalo bulls rut. July, Tzyakshe when the moon of the buffalo bulls regain fat. July, Tishkakinskibi, moon when the buffalo again rut, not the bulls, but the buffalo somehow. August, Exaksha ECB, yellow flowers moon. September, Toshmi Palhoka Kesti, moon of first moon of the autumn, and October, deer rutting moon. November, Tashka Yakskobi, when the deer shed their horns, and Mika Akakashithibi, moon when the raccoons rut. And December, Wakshapi Wadakashvi, moon when the black bear gives birth to its young. There are 13 moons here with the 28 days on the sculpts surrounding it. That is a more accurate calendar than what we have currently. So my family is Native American. My father was born on the Comanche headquarters, went on to become an engineer in aircraft, and I too followed as professor of engineering for the U.S. Air Force, aeronautical engineering. And so it's just in me to do this kind of thing. And it's a fascinating thing if we can reach into the hearts of ourselves and our ethno backgrounds, because I don't think we get enough of that in the built environment. And we look at equilibrium of everything, and Native peoples do too, that they should follow that lead. And I don't think we do that enough because we're in these concrete places and so forth. If we look at equilibrium and how things ebb and flow naturally. Some things are food, some things are to be left alone. But when we start introducing artificial things like many people coming across and brushing aside, not just Native people, but everything Native, is when we have disequilibrium and so forth. Is there anyone here present that opposes the preservation of the ornate box turtle? Is there anyone here that opposes it? Yeah, well, there's one. I was a mayor of a small town in Kansas when we had turtle races, and I emphasized that this is what goes on. So we've got to change our ethnic behavior. And as an engineer, I will say there is an alternative and a more fun one, and that's robotic turtles. They're out there. They swim.
So do you favor data centers in your community now then?
I favor, that's another topic. I'd love to get into that.
Well, it's rhetorical.
I'd rather not. I'd rather not.
Decentralized data centers, decentralized energy that goes to the people, that the people actually make the money off of supplying.
It was
decentralized.
It was
data center.
rhetorical.
Yeah. Thanks for that. So we can do these things. Other communities are doing this with respect to that. Are we of the same mentality that was gone on until 1972, that we were using sperm whale brain fluids in our automatic transmissions? These triglycerides, the long chain carbons, nice waxy stuff. Do we still have that mentality that we should be taking from that and putting in our automatic transmissions? We stopped that with the Endangered Species Act. So I would appeal to you that this is a new kind of era in which we can definitely have more fun. The kids can actually paint on robotic turtles. They can have these things. We're looking for grants to actually do that. They have them in the water now that will swim. I think we can still interject a lot of ethnic parts of our society, our culture, which we need to emphasize. So, lakse, chintu kama. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. I think part of this process is with change comes public education. I think in order to get there, you have to bring the public along with you, and I think that's what the Sierra Club's trying to do. So, Norman, you have something to say again? Come up here. Identify yourself for the group, people watching.
Well, the science we got now, we don't know what our DNA is. You know about cloning? Who are we? Okay. Here's the one article you need to look. It's in Time Magazine, October 23rd, 2023. You need to read it. The View, Goodbye Columbus. That's when all of our problems started in 1493. It's a budget issue for your commissioners and the state. We're going to have to wait because we're going to have another election and everything's going to change. Okay, we need to go higher fees for guides for these hunting lodges they use, the outfitters, higher fees for out-of-state hunters. They will pay it. Because in Colorado and Wyoming, the landowners want to sell the tags on their property. $10,000 for a deer. I'm going to start putting horns on my cows and paint deer on them. I mean, that's crazy. Safety, as the chairman or the secretary said, you're only going to drown once. You're only going to drown once. Everyone should be wearing a life jacket, whether you're on the boat or in the water. Age does not discriminate. Greed is an animal that requires blood to satisfy its hunger. That's the problem. We got greed in this country. So are jet skis required to carry insurance liability? If not, why not? Check them at the boat ramps. And we got a new problem coming with that new world screwworm. That screwworm was here in the 1960s because we fought it then, and people will not report it. We treated it. So we're going to have to put regulations in to make the ranchers report this. So it's about government, it's politics. As I said to the Secretary Kennedy, do any of you know the difference between a Republican and a Democrat? One's crazy and the other one's insane.
Thank you for your words of wisdom, Norman. Yes, ma'am, please identify yourself for us.
I'm Lori Hall from Salina. Thank you for the opportunity to share my concerns surrounding the intake, euthanasia, and mishandling of wildlife by the Salina Animal Services Facility, formerly the Animal Shelter. I would like to explain the backstory of the Salina Animal Services prior to my concern about the wildlife. Recently, the Salina Animal Services has faced significant community scrutiny following the failed Kansas Department of Agriculture's inspection and animal cruelty charges filed against their two managers. In early 2026, the Salina Animal Services was cited for violations which included performing euthanasia without sedation and administering medication without veterinarian authorization. 3 charges of animal cruelty were then filed on each manager after it was revealed that they administered intracardiac euthanasia to 3 puppies without first sedating them. Following these allegations, a grassroots group called Humane Salina was formed, consisting of former shelter managers, animal control officers, volunteers, fosters, and pet owners. Humane Salina's mission was, was to reorganize, and restore the shelter back into a humane, no-kill, professionally managed city animal shelter. I initially joined the group as a former shelter volunteer. But when I discovered the number of wildlife intakes, I became concerned as to the legality of a city animal shelter engaged in such activities without any wildlife permits. When I obtained the 2025 shelter records through the Kansas Open Records Act, I discovered that live, healthy wildlife was routinely handled, euthanized, or kept without transporting to rehab facilities. Shelter records from Cora revealed the following wildlife intakes and outcomes for 2025. 75 mammals were euthanized, many releasable. Of these mammals, 45 big brown bats were euthanized and sent to KSU for rabies testing, none of which returned positive. And the only bat that had contact with, there was only one bat that had contact with a human. Healthy bats had no contact should always be released. 27 migratory birds were euthanized, including raptors, which included peregrine falcons, owls, hawks, songbirds, water birds, and waterfowl. Intake of sick, injured, or abandoned wildlife that were documented to be transported to licensed rehabilitation facilities seldom made that journey. I have cross-checked every rehabber that is licensed with your department and have found only a few that were actually sent. Working as a wildlife professional for 25 years, I found it difficult to turn a blind eye to these findings. At no time in my career do I remember KDWP giving the Salina Animal Services authorization to handle wildlife as part of their daily responsibilities. Working with former game warden Greg Salisbury for 20+ years and game biologist Jim Hayes, our animal shelter was never given the green light to handle wildlife unless it was to pick up roadkill. If wildlife needed to be euthanized, a licensed veterinarian on staff or in the community made that call, not the shelter staff. Wildlife and domestic animals should never be kept under the same roof or allowed to be taken home by shelter staff. During my tenure on the Kansas Wildlife and Parks Commission, KAR 115.18.1 was discussed, amended, and voted into law. This regulation was designed to keep both wildlife and people safe by requiring a permit to engage in rehab activity. At no time has the Salina Animal Service or former animal shelter staff held a wildlife rehabilitation permit or nuisance control permit. A partnership between animal shelter and KDWP is important. It eases the workload for both entities, but parameters must first be established and a constant oversight is a must. If that fails to happen, the community and its wildlife are in jeopardy and a trust between working parties is broken. Today, I'm asking the agency to investigate the unnecessary killing of healthy wildlife species, the intake and holding of wildlife, and the shelter's failure to transport documented wildlife to licensed rehabilitation facilities. If illegal wildlife activity is found to have occurred at the Salina Animal Services facility, I ask the proper legal action be taken and those committing any alleged violations be held accountable. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Lori. I know staff won't comment on matters that are currently being litigated or might be being investigated. Curtis Wired may have some comments on that. It is an interesting topic. I had a phone call in the last couple of days about injured wildlife and what to do with the fawn that was injured. And Wildlife and Parks was very responsive and sent someone out there address that situation. So I think that would be something the commissioners might want to hear more about as far in general terms of what the protocols are. I don't know if Curtis, if you have any comments about this subject at all. but-
No, I'll just add that, yeah, we are aware of the issue and that there is as you mentioned in your discussion, the animal shelters are regulated by the Kansas Department of Agriculture. Now, again, as you recognize, the agency licenses animal rehab. So there's the connection there between, well, there's a potential connection there between the rehab facilities and the animal shelters. I will say that we are aware of an active investigation involved in this. And as the chairman mentioned, we will decline.
Right.
We appreciate your comments and coming here today and talking about it, but there's certain lines we can't cross talking about an active investigation in a public meeting. So
Okay,
thank
thank
you.
you.
There are questions for Lori while she's here. Commissioner Carpenter.
Thank you. Thank you. And Lori, thank you for contacting me here, what, a month ago or so about this issue. And I think that some of the things have happened. It's closed the facility and this and that. And the commissioners in Saline County have also acted on that. But one of the things I'd like to, and I get calls much like you do, I'd like for the commission to have a list of rehabilitation folks that are around. I had one last week and it was a bunch of little wood ducks. And I called the game warden and he went down and got them. But I'd like to know who we can contact when this situation comes up. It would have been a lot, I think, more efficient if we would have had some facility that we could have called versus sending a game warden down there. So anyway, but thank you for bringing this to our attention. I look forward to get it fleshed out.
Well, when we amended some of those regulations, that was quite a long time ago. And then when I reviewed the current regulations, they had been amended again, and there's a lot of hours that somebody has to, they have to actually be on site with the rehabber before they can get a permit, plus lots of hours of education, which that's a good thing. I mean, that's what we wanted. But what we're finding is there's not very many people that are rehabbing legally anymore. And the cost of rehabbing, I think one told me yesterday, it costs $500 per raccoon and $1,000 per whitetail fawn to be rehabbed. And that's quite a bit. And so I don't know if that's something that in the future that the agency could think about, if there's some type of funding to help them, or maybe that's not something that we want to do anymore. I don't know, but I know it's a great service, you know, for the biologist. I know that. So thank
Good
you.
points. Thank you, Lori. Do we have-
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir. Jason.
Commissioner Lister has her hand up.
Very good. Commissioner.
Yeah, Commissioner Carpenter, and I'll suggest this to everybody. There's an app that you can put on your phone called Animal Help Now, and it will tell you what the closest rehabber is to your specific location. And it's called Animal Help Now, and it's free download, and it's pretty easy to use. I would suggest folks download that if they can. And I think a larger conversation about rehab is quite important to have. Today's not the day for it, but you know, I would be in favor of a discussion of that at some point down the line. But use that app, and it's quite helpful.
Thank you for that. I'm kind of IT challenged, but I think I can figure that one out.
Thank you, Whitney.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Cross.
I get a lot of calls, it being from the urban, I don't know, Commissioner Mark, if you do too. I get a lot of calls. I would like something to Commissioner Carpenter's point, a list in this downloaded app. When people call me, you know, I know we don't handle cats and dogs and things like that, but I get calls on deer and raccoons and squirrels in the attics and things like that. Is there any way we could develop something, you know, a sheet that helps people know who to contact, whether it's a local issue or it is a KDWP issue, I guess, and some sort of guidelines for that? I know each city and county, their funding and their, you know, their manpower to do things is gonna be different. But I would just like to give folks some sort of direction, because quite frankly, a lot of times I'm like, you know, I really don't know. Call your local animal control. If they don't have that, then who do they contact? Cause I've got called on downed hawks and owls. And I think I talked to you, Stuart, one time about an issue like that. Anyway, if we got any of those resources or information I can add so we can help people out, I would appreciate that too. Thank you.
And Commissioner Cross, Operation Wildlife is the closest place to you in Linwood. But I would also encourage folks that go to these rehab places. They need funding and they can't particularly say, I need $50 for this animal when you turn it in. But I would highly recommend folks that do care about that sort of thing to donate to organizations like Operation Wildlife and the few other legitimate rehabbers that are in the state of Kansas. It's an issue that we need to address. But again, not for today.
Thank you. Deputy Secretary, do you have a comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Stuart Shrug, I think based on the discussions that are occurring, it's appropriate for us to bring this back to a future meeting and kind of give an overview of our program relative to this that's administered by our Wildlife Division in coordination with our Law Enforcement Division. I think showing and outlining what that process looks like relative to our regulations and what the parameters and the requirements are, would be a good conversation to have. So we will bring that forward at a future meeting.
Very good.
Thank you, Stuart.
Further comments on that topic?
I would just say thank you, Ms. Hillary, for bringing that to our attention. It is concerning, and I appreciate Stuart's comments. I think it would be good, and Commissioner Lister's comments about revisiting. I think it's something that the commission, the general public maybe needs a refresher course on.
We have additional public comments at this point in time.
We do have a question online, sir.
Yes, sir.
but I'll let her go first.
You come right ahead, ma'am. Please identify yourself. Yeah.
I'm Jeanette Zammerslove from Lindsborg here. And really what I want to do is express appreciation for this agency. And I come from a really personal perspective. And I thank you, each of you, for allowing me to just tell you that. My husband died in '94, and he came on to the agency with SASNAC, which was in '73, I believe, which is Kansas backwards. That's when they were hiring more biologists in wildlife and in fisheries. And he was really grateful to be hired on to the Kansas into the Kansas agency. He was grateful to stay at home, and I didn't realize how much, or I probably wouldn't have married him, because he kept us in Kansas and he was very dedicated to the resources here. And when he died, there was a monolith that was put together. Lori was on the original committee, Lori Hall here. And so she's been prodding me to get up here and tell you how much I appreciate this agency and tell you that he is an example of how your boots on the ground, what they mean to all of the people in all of these communities in terms of education and in terms of giving people voice for their care for the environment. Because in doing that and being present, he believed that others would want to really care for it because they would be exposed to it and be invested in it. But what happened was that a monolith was established at the aquarium in Salina Central Mall. And that monolith became like a 1,000-pound anchor that we had to decide what to do with after the mall aquarium was no more. And I'm grateful to Brian Sowards and others in the fisheries who said, well, we'll take it. And so in doing that, in taking that on, it is now created and waiting for a place to find a new home. And as Lori says, she says, where will it be rehomed? And that's where we're at right now. I think it's sitting at Milford Hatchery. Brian could address that. But it represents all of you. He was only a hinge on a door. And when he passed away, I saw how valuable this agency was to the people in the community and the 5-county area that he served with Canopolis and Wilson. And so I just don't know where it'll end up if it stays in the crate, but it still represents what all of you are in terms of our need for you and your responsibility to the environment and the resources. And I thank you for that.
Thank you for your comments, Jeanette. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Tad Kramar from Big Springs, Kansas, western Douglas County. I just have about a minute and a half, just summary on the turtle races.
Thank you.
Ornate box turtles in Kansas are in serious decline. When used for turtle races, these turtles may be starved, dehydrated, or kept at unsurvivable temperatures. Mixing turtles together promotes disease spreading, and if not returned to their original locations, they often die as they struggle to find water, food, and shelter, or get smashed as they cross a road trying to find their home. Turtle races also provide opportunities for poachers to get turtles to sell in the unfortunately lucrative Asian markets where they're very valued and unfortunately fetch a high price. Please protect them by prohibiting turtle races. It would be terrible to lose our state reptile. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Online, Jason?
Yes. First, we have Bill Sharpley. I'm going to allow you to talk and ask you to unmute, and you should be able to talk.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I got several issues I'd like to touch with. As you well know, there's several states that charge extra fees to hunt for public grounds for non-residents. I wonder if you all thought about reciprocal fees for those states that charge us to go to their states to hunt. Also, on the apply on your draw hunts, I'm 72 years old. I've never been drawn for a hunt. My son, he was lucky enough to get drawn about 8 years ago. And when we went there to hunt, there's Parsons, Osage hunts for turkey. There were several out of state, there was only 2 residents from our state got drawn. There was 8 total buddy hunts drawn, 2 each. There'll be 16 total hunters. There was 6 out-of-state hunters. There were several out-of-state hunters got drawn 2 years in a row to hunt that area. Always there, you could put a point system in or have those hunters to get drawn and eligible to get drawn for hunts for a couple years after they got drawn. And number 3, some of these fishing guides, you know, they take several groups out several times a day, and they're earning money off our resources to fish those lakes. I wonder if they could charge like a 10% extra fee to those individuals who take out hunting to repopulate the reservoirs which are fishing. That's about all I got.
Thank you. Do we have questions for Mr. Sharkey from the commission? Thank you for your time today, Mr. Sharkey. Appreciate your comments. Jason, do you have another one?
Yes, Terry Wilson asked me to ask this question. It's about public lands. Can you clarify the afternoon cutoff time for non-resident waterfowl hunting? Was that changed to all public lands, or does that still only apply to the 5 wetlands mentioned previously?
Yeah, Stuart Shrug, that was a change that was made at the last commission meeting. We initially proposed the 5, but now that is on all department lands and waters.
What was the time? Do you remember?
And hunting time would have been 12 PM noon and off the property by 1 PM.
Okay. Now it does look like we have another one from Matt Sharkey. Matt, I'm gonna have you unmute.
Yes, sir, Matt.
Hello, how are you all? Hope you guys are doing good today, commissioners. Yeah, I was just wanted to, it seems just like a forbidden talk about outfitters. Like we bring it up and then we just drop it, you know, like are we still talking about outfitting? And because I know a couple of you guys brought up about we don't know how many outfitters we have in this state, and we're not charging anything. Like they're taking our resources, but you know, they're charging thousands of dollars for people to hunt. But and you guys are always complaining about money. So I don't know why we're not charging outfitters. Other states are doing it. And also about turkey hunting, our numbers aren't where they should be. And I hope we don't bring fall turkey season back. We should not be we should never shoot hens ever. That's the big thing to me. The numbers, turkey numbers are nowhere near where they should be. And I was wondering if the commission can decide on delaying non-residents from opening day until a week after season starts, because if somebody's just hunting public lands, it's crowded with non-residents. You can't find a spot to hunt on opening day or the weekend. So I was wondering if the commission can talk about delaying non-residents from coming into Kansas to turkey hunt for till that next week. So us residents can have a chance to shoot a turkey before the whole crowd comes invading our public lands, because we don't have, our public land numbers are disgraced. Like we're last in the amount of acres we have. I hope you guys are looking into that and to getting more access for residents to hunt, because the only way we can hunt is public lands, which are crowded for turkey, deer, pheasant, quail, doesn't matter, or leasing ground, which is thousands of dollars, and usually non-residents get that because it's doctors, other people that are taking up that land, good hunting land from residents. So I hope you guys start doing this, because other states are looking into this, making it harder for non-residents to come into their state. So I hope you guys do the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. I know those topics have been discussed at the commission level, and I think they'll get further consideration as we continue to get more information on non-resident hunting and the challenges that they present for our residents. Any comments from the commission? Thank you very much. Jason,
That is all I have at this time.
okay. Further public comments? I'll tell you before we take a break, so that's where we're at now. So, Mr. Secretary, if you don't mind, we're going to take a 9-minute break. See, it's not 10 minutes, it's 9 minutes. That resonates in your minds. Thank you so much. We'll be back. We're into general discussion. Brian Sowers is going to come up, I believe, and talk to us about KAR 115-25-14, fishing creel limit, size limit, possession limit, and open season. Thank you, Brian.
Chair, members of the commission, Brian Sowards, Fisheries Division Director. So I'm going to be introducing 3 future potential fisheries regulation proposals here today. Do I have a clicker? Okay. The first one are some experimental sunfish regulations that we began in 2019. Just to back up a little bit, in 2017, the department began investigating the scarcity of 8-inch bluegills in the state and wanted to address the situation. We did several research projects that were initiated in that 2017-2019 timeframe. Some of which were looking at growth information for bluegill across the state at our public fisheries. We experimented with putting larger adult male bluegills in several populations to see if that would encourage growth of other bluegill in the populations. A number of other research projects were initiated. At the same time, we experimented with this 6 to 9 inch slot limit. So the fish within the 6 to 9 would be protected, a protected slot limit. Those under 6 inches could be harvested and those over 9 inches could be harvested. We were attempting experimentally to see if we could restrict harvest in those larger sizes, that it would encourage and protect those fish to the 9-inch length limit. And in essence, we'd get more 8-inch bluegill in our populations. As I mentioned, we started this in 2019 and 2022. We kind of 22, 23, we finalized those results. And over at the right there, the staff published a paper on this, but essentially, our research biologist, Ben Neely, could probably talk to you guys for an hour about this, but the take-home message, if you do want more information, I'd be happy to give it to you. The take-home message is that after 3 years, the populations remain mostly unchanged. So our proposal for this is to remove that experimental length limit and all the lakes that fall within it, those 5 lakes there: Antelope Lake in Graham County, Jewel State Fishing Lake, Lake Lenexa, Miami State Fishing Lake, and Potawatomi State Fishing Lake number 2 there outside of Manhattan. That would basically, what that would do is revert to the statewide limit, and there is none for bluegill. There's no creel and no length limit. Okay, the next one I have for you, I'll give you an overview of sauger, saugeye, and walleye populations at Melbourne Reservoir. I'm going to collectively refer to these 3 species as persids so I don't get confused. They're in the Persidae family, so I'm going to call them persids. In 2021, we began experimental stocking at Melbourne with saugeye alongside the walleye that we've stocked for years there. So we did saugeye and walleye. Jeff Cook has presented on this at past commission meetings, giving a really good summary of how that experiment went. Well, essentially what happened at Melbourne has happened at the other lakes that were involved. Saugeye outperformed walleye. They did very, very well. So what we saw first at Melbourne was improved recruitment. Saugeye introduction led to more fish. You can see 2022 is the year after the first stocking, and an increase in recruitment overall. Recruitment, when I say that, what I mean is survival of fish to their first fall. So we stock them in the spring. Biologists go out in the fall and sample for them, whether it's nighttime electrofishing or gill nets, and index how well those fish made it to that point. It's generally accepted if they can make it to the fall, they've recruited to the population. Now, some are still going to die, but that's generally accepted if they get to that point. And so what you can see here is the persid population, because of saugeye at Melbourne, has done very well in the last few years. The second point, this basically was a proposal from field staff, Jim Miazga up at Clinton Reservoir. He has way more information than this, similar to the bluegill stuff, but I'm giving you the very dumbed down version. Less than 10% of the population are fish over 18 inches. I'll back up real quick. What's on Melbourne right now is an 18-inch minimum length limit. Less than 10% of the population is over that 18-inch. The third point here is what we've noticed is there's stunting, there's slow growth. The graph on the right, maybe the light blue is hard to see, but light blue is Melbourne and it's at the bottom. Pomona's at the top, Clinton's in the middle. What that shows you is of those popular reservoirs in that part of the world, Melbourne does have the slowest growth. And a lot of that may be due to, you know, a number of things, the 18-inch length limit and the incredible recruitment that's occurred over the years and stockpiled a number of those individuals. And when you do that, you typically see slower growth. And my fourth point is introducing the human component here. Through our creel survey in 2024, there were only 300 fish harvested by anglers. It's a popular lake, popular Perced lake, and only 300 fish were harvested. Many fish were caught and released. I don't have that figure here, but only 300 were harvested. So our proposal for this one is to remove the 18-inch length limit for sauger, saugeye, and walleye. That would revert to the 15-inch statewide minimum length limit and 5 a day. Okay, the last thing, the third thing I have for the commission is in regards to the trout program. I figured it appropriate to provide some updated figures since we increased the trout permit a year and a half ago, something like that. We went over that for a while, so I thought I'd give you an update. What you can see on the left was pre-permit increase when the permit was, I think, $12. We had, just under 12,000 permits, and then once we increased the permit to 1,750, we only saw a small dip in trout permit sales. But overall, in the yellow there, what you see is revenue from those permits. We increased overall revenue by $30-something thousand. So kind of made that program a little bit more self-sufficient. It's closer. We probably buy $220,000 worth of trout, so it's getting closer to being self-sufficient.
What kind of feedback have you gotten?
We had a little bit early on, but very, very minimal. I think, as you can see from the numbers, we determined this was an opportunistic program. People typically that trout fish already fish for other things, so it really didn't seem to impact them very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So the light blue there, what I want to highlight at this time is the permits sold just in Johnson County. And what you see there is about 12% of permit sales come from just Johnson County alone. And for the past, we have not funded trout in Johnson County historically. Johnson County approached us a couple of years ago and wanted Wildlife and Parks to kind of take over some of the fish management there, which would have included the trout program. And so we wanted to break out Johnson County to see if that would be worthwhile for trout fishing, but also for Wildlife and Parks to take on, knowing that the fish are so expensive. So what we determined was, yeah, Johnson County has a lot of trout anglers. And so this is probably a great opportunity to provide trout there in lieu of Johnson County doing it. So the next point, which leads to our future regulation proposal, which is adding Cedar Creek at Cedar Niles Park in Johnson County, it's in Olathe, as a new type 1 trout water. A good opportunity to have another stream population in the state and add that opportunity for a significant user base there in Johnson County. Type 1 trout water, there's type 1, type 2. Type 1 means that all anglers during the trout season, December 1st through March 31st, all anglers fishing there, regardless of what you're fishing for, will have to have the trout permit. There's a location there in Olathe where that park is and where that stream will be. On the right is a close-up view. I believe the yellow is a walking trail, and then the blue there will be the stream location.
Do those trout just make it till what, summer?
Yeah, typically early June. I mean, you see some mortality in May because of the temperature, and then by early to mid-June, they're pretty much all gone. In summary, these are the three regulations that we'll be workshopping at the next commission meeting in August. Remove the special slot limit for sunfish species, remove the 18-inch limit for all persons at Melbourne Reservoir, and add Cedar Creek, Johnson County as a type 1 trout water.
Questions from the commission? Commissioner Carpenter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So when you were asked by Johnson County to take this over, are they providing any funding?
The first year, they bought all the trout. And then so they're providing some funding for catfish and some other things, but for trout, they're no longer providing funding. They're asking us to do that.
Have we asked them to?
I don't believe so. I think that, no.
I'd just be curious why we wouldn't ask them to provide some funding for this program. Since we're underwater, $70,000, and just my thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, the trout program is 75, right now it's 75% funded by sport fish restoration excise taxes, and then 25% is wildlife fee fund. But yeah, I mean, I think it's worthwhile. I don't know how those conversations will go.
I would encourage you to at least ask them to cough up some money.
Would we just, kind of have a cap on what you're spending right now on trout? Would you just reduce what you're stocking in other areas to provide them with trout, or would you just be adding on to our total?
It's additional, yeah. So I said 220. We'll be going to 232 in FY 28. So 12,000 additional.
Yeah, definitely work like Will said, ask them if they're willing to put some of that bill. Things were already upside down on this program.
Yeah, the challenging thing is before they were taking the permit fees themselves, Johnson County. And so now it's like we're getting the permit sales. And so that may be
that's kind of understandable too.
Right.
Further comment? Comments from the public on this matter? I know we're going to workshop it down the road, so that's when really the formal hearing process will start.
I just want to say good questions about the commission, and we'll definitely put that under our consideration and explore those options.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay, now we do have workshop session on a couple of items. 115-25-5 and -6, Turkey Fall season. 115-2-1, non-resident waterfowl stamp and senior licenses. I'd like to ask initially legal counsel, so workshopping these, I think it's envisioned that if things continue to move forward, that they would go in place this season, this year. Is that correct?
Correct. You're right. Assuming it does make it out of workshop session, they're in this last section so that they can go into promulgation with the hopes of getting them done. Both of these this year, but of course, the regulatory timeframe that I've talked about before is kind of unpredictable, and it requires me prioritizing certain regs over others. So,
Understand.
with that caveat, yes, the answer is yes.
Thank you very much. Jake George, thank you. Let's talk about turkeys first, I guess.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman Dameron, commissioners, and our participating public. My name is Jake George, and I'm the Wildlife Division Director for KDWP. I'm here today to continue our discussions regarding the potential reestablishment of a fall turkey season. I'm going to begin with a brief overview of our discussion at the commission meeting in April present the outcomes of the public meetings that were conducted after the April meeting, and some preliminary results from our spring harvest survey. Not me.
Not me.
It's me. Sorry.
This will be followed by a review of the identified options for the fall season, and we'll conclude with the department's recommendation. So the fall turkey hunting season was closed in 2023 by the Kansas Wildlife and Parks Commission due to the potential for additive mortality of females, declining turkey numbers, and had support from the hunting community, which has a strong preference for spring harvest opportunities. Kansas is not the only state in the region to reduce opportunities with declining bird numbers. Nebraska, Oklahoma, and many other states limited opportunities for turkey spring harvest opportunities as well. Based on declining populations and subsequently resident hunter success rates, several steps were taken which incrementally reduced the opportunity for harvest in the fall over the last decade. In 2016 and 2017, fall bag limits were reduced to 1 bird in the fall in all fall units. In 2019, the fall season was shortened from 123 days to 41 days. And finally, in 2023, the fall season in Kansas was suspended altogether. In response to a recent request, we've taken the matter of the fall season up with the commission outside of our normal review cycle and have done our best to obtain public sentiment to help inform our decisions given the time constraints. So as a refresher of the information that was provided at the April meeting, 2022 was the last year that a fall turkey permit was available. That year, there were 2,445 resident permit buyers and 539 non-resident permit buyers the fall. The estimated fall harvest totaled 318 birds, of which 141 were hens, and the harvest success was estimated at 10.7%. That was a fairly brief overview of our prior discussion, so I'm going to pause there for a moment to see if there's any questions before we move into the public meeting summary.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, these meetings that you had, where were they?
So the next slide.
Oh, okay. So you're not, okay.
No,
thank you.
not done there. Just
All right.
pausing for, before we moved into the public meeting review. So there were 2 public meeting events that were held after the April commission meeting with the intent of gathering further public input regarding the reestablishment of a fall turkey season. The first was in Wichita on April 22nd, and the second was in Salina on May 6th. At these public meetings, a presentation that was very similar to the one that was provided to you regarding the fall turkey options at the April commission meeting was given. There was an opportunity for questions and answers, and then participants were provided with an exit survey to complete. Unfortunately, the public meeting events were not well attended. There was a total of 9 unique individuals who attended the meetings, with 1 individual attending both meetings, so 5 total members of the public who attended each meeting. In spite of that, we've summarized the outcomes of those meetings and what we gleaned from them for you. The exit survey questionnaire, a copy of which was shared with you, was comprised of 4 questions and included the opportunity for written comments. The first 2 survey questions were used to categorize and/or validate the sample group of survey recipients. The first question was regarding the participants' residency and landowner status. All 9 individuals indicated that they were Kansas residents, and 1 individual also indicated that they were a landowner of 80 acres or more. The second question was to determine their participation in turkey hunting activities. All but 1 of the participants described themselves as turkey hunters, and all but 2 had hunted turkeys within the last 5 years. Of the 2 that had not hunted in the last 5 years, 1 indicated that they would resume hunting only if the flock numbers increased. The third question was included to gauge the importance of the fall season versus the spring season. 6 participants indicated that the spring season is much more important than the fall season. 1 indicated the spring season is quite a bit more important than the fall season. 1 that the spring season is slightly more important than the fall season, and 1 indicated that spring and fall seasons are equally important. Now, this was not surprising results from this, given the strong preference towards spring hunting that has been identified in previous survey efforts. Question 4 asked, which option do you most prefer for the fall hunting season? 4 participants indicated that they would like to see the fall season remain closed until turkey numbers recover, and 4 participants indicated that they would like to see the allowance of 1 bearded turkey permit for the fall and 1 additional bearded turkey permit for the spring. 1 individual did write in a 5th option that was not included on the graph here, that they would like to see the allowance of 2 bearded turkeys in the spring with no fall season. Again, I'll pause there for questions regarding the public meetings before I move on to some of our preliminary harvest survey results.
Would it be time for me to ask a question?
Sure. Ask anytime.
I'm just, now I'm confused about when I can ask questions or whatever, so.
Anytime you want to ask a question.
Do we have a lot more, or
No, we'll have about 3 more slides.
why don't I just wait till the 3 more slides then?
Very good. I'll get through her. So one of the pitfalls with taking up regulations outside of our normal cycle is that it does make it difficult to ensure that we have the necessary information needed to help support and guide the decision-making process. In an attempt to gather that information, the same questions provided in the public meetings questionnaire were included within our annual spring harvest survey. That has not completed yet. We do still have 1 additional reminder on that to go out, but we do now have a significant number of expected total respondents who have completed the survey and are able to provide you with some preliminary information on these responses. With roughly 77% of anticipated responses received, 12% of respondents indicated a preference for the allowance of 1 fall permit and 1 spring permit, 13% allowing for 1 fall permit that could also be used the following spring if unfilled. 59% preferred to keep the fall season closed until turkey numbers have recovered, and 16% indicated that they were not sure or had no preference. As previously discussed, there are 3 options which have been identified as potential outcomes of the review of the fall season. Options 1 and 2 include the reestablishment of a fall harvest opportunity with a season that runs from October 1 to December 31, but is closed during the rifle deer season. Both of these options would be over-the-counter permits for residents only, allow for the harvest of only bearded birds, and would be open in all management units excepting Unit 4. It should have, I clicked it. There we go. Option 1 allows for the harvest of 1 bearded bird in the fall and 1 in the spring. Option 2 would allow for the harvest of 1 bearded bird in the fall or the spring. Option 3 would be to maintain the status quo and not reestablish a fall season at this time. Our recommendation at this time is option 3. Given the strong opposition to reopening the fall season that was identified within the preliminary results of the harvest survey, it is our recommendation to forego the reestablishment of a fall turkey season at this time. As previously mentioned, taking up this review outside of our normal cycle for the turkey regulations does make it difficult to have the most up-to-date information regarding harvest success and hunter opinions. While this will delay the potential reestablishment of a fall turkey hunting opportunities by 1 year, given the sentiment that was expressed by turkey hunters who favor to keep the season closed until populations have recovered, it does seem prudent to do so. As such, we'll plan to renew these discussions in November when we begin the regular cycle for the turkey regulations, at which time we will have the full analysis completed of the spring 2026 harvest survey results. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Now I think it's okay. So these 2 meetings that you had, was the commission notified of those meetings?
I'm not sure whether you guys were directly notified or not.
What I would suggest in the future is, with the other commissioners' approval here, is at least if it's in our area or something like that, that we be notified. I don't know if I could have made it there, but I would have certainly liked to have attended that. 9 folks were in these meetings were they made aware that the harvest was 318 the last time.
Yes, they
that we
received the
did.
same presentation that you guys did at the April meeting.
And so on the last harvest, that information you had where 771 people responded, were those people also made aware that the last harvest was 300?
That would be only if they'd watched the April commission meeting. So the survey doesn't include any background data. It's our normal harvest survey for the spring season.
I would think that would be kind of, to get an accurate survey, I would think that that would be kind of important, is to kind of give them what kind of harvest data that you had at the time. If, take that 315 and now, what do you say it was hen wise?
It was 141, I believe.
So you take that 10%, 10.7% number down. That's just, I'm not going to do my math because I don't want to look stupid, but it's less than 5% when you require a bearded bird. So we could actually take that harvest number if we did that.
174 tops.
Yeah, so that would be 174 birds. Would that, I think that'd be accurate, wouldn't it?
That's my.
So I just fail to see how 174 birds, toms, in a fall turkey season is going to affect the population at all. But that's all I have to say about that.
I have a question, if I may.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Mark.
Who drafted this survey?
Our staff.
Well, I mean, if you read the question, and even before I do that, let's back up. In the last meeting, because I was on the fence myself personally on this issue. And if you go back and look at my questions, I was very adamant to know whether or not the staff felt that a fall harvest would adversely impact turkey populations. I asked the question multiple times and the answer was unequivocally no, especially if we limited it to male turkeys. That was the biologist, the agency's opinion that there would be no adverse impact on turkey populations. So with that, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I agree that we should allow one additional turkey in my brain as we were approaching today's meeting. But if I was sitting at home, and most people don't watch these meetings, and I think, you know, Commissioner Carpenter's point about did they know that it was only going to be approximately 174 birds that we're talking about in the fall? But more importantly, the way you write question 4, the staff wrote question 4, keep turkey season closed until numbers recover. I mean, if you just read that question, and if you just if we didn't know any of these facts, I didn't get to hear any of the presentation. If you just asked me that question, I would say, well, hell yeah, let's keep it closed, because the inference is turkey numbers are going to be adversely impacted. They're not recovered and we're going to damage those populations. That's what number 1 infers. I'm actually surprised, and it reaffirms my position that we should allow one bird, when even with a slanted question like that, you only had 59% of the response that we should keep the season closed, even though the question was geared to try to get them to say they would. And so then when you in your presentation, you say a strong opposition at 59% that said yes to a skewed question, I don't think, I think that's I just don't think that's accurate by any stretch of the imagination. I'm kind of with Commissioner Carpenter and kind of the thought process that went into this, that if we're only talking about 174 birds, we've had the professionals tell us in the last meeting that there's not going to be any impact on the population as a whole. I'm actually really surprised that the agency's coming in here today and saying that last meeting you were telling us it was no problem and now you're against it. And if it's just because of 59% of the people answered your slanted question one way, I don't think that's how we ought to be managing wildlife in Kansas.
I don't think the question was slanted.
Well,
Turkey populations have not recovered, and this is adding additional harvest. While it may not be impactful to population, it does impact the success to an extent in the spring, which is the preferred season for the majority of our turkey hunters.
You didn't say that last time. And let me just ask you this question. Had we written the survey question to say, knowing that the department's position is that it would not adversely affect turkey populations, do you think we should add an additional turkey, male turkey in the spring? Do you think you would have got a different response?
I think that would be a slanted question.
But that's what you told me last week. That's what influenced me last week. That was the information that we as commissioners who are gonna make this decision got from staff, almost word for word.
Yeah, and I did point out last time, you're correct, it would not have any impact on population growth. We're not taking hens. That, we have no problem with that.
Was that included in the survey on your question? Did it state that hens would not be part of that fall season?
No, those questions that you see there were added to the harvest, our normal harvest survey that we get our harvest estimates from.
Okay, so it was stated just like that.
I don't think 59% response with the lack of information that the surveyees had, combined with the way this question strikes me, should be grounds for any game agency to change recommendations if we're really trying to do a science-based wildlife management program. Has anything changed between last meeting when we were asking the questions that we had from a scientific standpoint, from a biological standpoint?
No, and in a case where you don't have a biological impact one way or the other, we often fall to the hunter sentiment, which is what we're trying to collect with the survey.
Okey doke.
And we
Jason, is
would
there a
like to
hand
see,
raised from Commissioner G. Feller? Or
Yes.
is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, Mr. Commissioner Gaveller.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. When we talked about this in 2022, the fall season we were talking about was a beardless season. There were only 300 birds taken, but to say that taking hens out of the population doesn't affect the turkey population defies logic as far as I'm concerned in math, because for each hen you take out of the population, if she's got a 14 bird clutch and half her hens and she's able to raise one, you've still got a net one. And that new hen is going to produce as well as the hen that you didn't kill. So it just doesn't seem, it's a multiplier effect that somebody's going to have to really work hard to convince me isn't there. And unless we have negative morbidity, and then that's a whole different issue. But I guess my thought is that, you know, if there's anything to consider in reinstating the season, it should not be a beardless season. It should be toms only. But another way to look at the small numbers of fall hunters, I mean, you can say conversely, there's just not enough interest in that season to make it worth the gamble, I guess, until we've got a little better idea, what's happening to our population. You know, we're not affecting that many people and that many birds.
Commissioner Gefeller, this is Whitney Dameron. I believe the proposal that was suggested or considered at our last meeting would be to allow a fall season on only bearded birds. So not unbearded, so just the males or women with long beards, I guess, women turkeys. Anyway, just to clarify that point.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
You know, our intent is to provide all of the opportunity that we can. And we would like to see a fall season be reestablished. We're just asking for some additional time for us to get this 2026 spring survey information in as far as our harvest success rates, see how everything fits in, and take this up again with our cycle that begins in November.
I have another question if I may.
Yes, sir.
When you put out the surveys, do those go to the same hunters every year, or is that a random, you might get one guy one year, another gal the next year?
Correct, it's random.
I thought I saw somewhere where the nest counts have increased for turkeys over the last several years.
I don't know that we have nest counts, but
What do you have, like survival? What's the?
brood surveys.
Yeah.
As far as seeing the poults out there, and we won't have data on that.
What about the
for this
last,
summer.
historically, the last several years? I thought I saw that's increased.
Yeah, we have had some increase there, correct.
So, but like continuous increase over the last several years.
In the short term, yes, but not along that we consider a trend at this point.
How many years have they been on the increase?
I would have to go back and look.
More than 3?
No, I don't believe so.
Since they've increased steadily though in the last, what, 2 years, 3 years, somewhere in that range?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be a better yardstick to our turkey populations as opposed to a random survey of hunters that have differing opinions on when to hunt, where to hunt, how to hunt, so forth?
I think you're looking at two different things there. When we're looking at harvest success, we are using that in lieu of, as we discussed the last time with the Adaptive Harvest Management Plan, population estimates. What we're looking at when we're looking at the brood surveys is that recruitment, so.
Yeah, I'm talking about brood survey results, which are on the increase, and actual harvest summaries versus somebody's opinion to a question on.
Yeah, I wouldn't say one's better than the other. We look at all of them.
You don't think the actual data of populations and the harvest numbers would be better science than hunters' opinions?
Well, that.
When we're setting seasons, limits and
That
management?
is the information that we utilize for it. That is data, the harvest success is what we're basing those recommendations for moving up or down in the Adaptive Harvest Management Plan on. So that is the data that we're utilizing. We like to have, before we establish something as a trend and not a one-off based on weather or something, at least 3 years of that. And that's why we say 2 years above those thresholds with the harvest success within the plan.
Well, I just don't see what has possibly changed between the last meeting when you were a proponent of or appeared to be a proponent of a bearded turkey in the fall, starting now. Other than 59% of survey respondent answered a question that I think wouldn't stand muster if you're trying to say it was unbiased. And I think considering the fact that the science indicates that the brood numbers are increasing, and the agency's already told us as a commission that there wouldn't be any adverse impact on population. And then when you do the math, like Commissioner Carpenter did, we're only talking 175 turkeys, and they're all male turkeys. I don't know why we wouldn't move forward right now. It would make no sense to me to wait another year when there's, even if it's 175 or 275 or 375 Kansas hunters want to get out in the fall and exercise our constitutional right as Kansans to hunt. I don't know why we would stop them based on everything you've provided.
How many spring permits do we sell? 40,000 or so, I think.
Yeah, I've got that. Give me just a second. It used to be
Average.
higher. 2025 was 29,155 and harvest estimate was 13,862.
Okay, so say 30,000, and the last fall season you had less than 2,500 permits.
Correct.
So 90% of those spring hunters don't hunt in the fall anyway, would be about correct?
Well, they don't currently have an
Well,
opportunity,
no,
but yes,
the
I
last
would say there's,
fall season, 90%
yeah, well,
of those hunters
I think
didn't
a lot
buy
of
a fall
those,
permit.
yeah, correct.
So they're kind of sounds like, no, they're not even into the fall season, so why would they want to? And when my survey's worded like that, no, they probably are not in favor of the fall season because they didn't hunt it before.
Yeah, well, I don't think you can completely differentiate the two groups.
No,
Pretty much
I'm not
anybody
saying,
who's
but
fall
I'm just
turkey
saying
hunter
that
also
taking into
spring turkey
consideration,
hunter.
this is,
Yeah.
was a simple, random survey sampling of the turkey hunters and not everybody with a spring permit. Obviously, we
Yeah.
had 2 permits in my house. We got 0 surveys.
Well, I
So,
will say the way that the randomized surveys work is that you are pulling a certain number from the population that will be representative of the population. as
yeah,
a whole.
but you're
So,
pulling spring hunters who didn't even hunt in the fall when there was a season.
Potentially, but
Yeah.
you're also capturing those spring hunters who were fall turkey hunters, which most fall turkey hunters also hunt the springs.
Generally,
Yeah.
but not vice versa.
True.
Commissioner Carpenter, do you have a question?
I do. So just to be clear, what you said was this will have no impact on the turkey population at all.
As far as recruitment, the removal of the females from it, correct. That will have minimal impact where there is fall harvest for potential spring harvest of bearded birds.
Okay. So anybody that's had a conversation with me about wildlife for more than 5 minutes, I always talk about what will the resource handle? And clearly by your statement there, the resource will handle 174 bearded toms out of the population with no effect. Is that accurate?
That would be accurate. I will say with these being over-the-counter permits, though, we don't know if levels are going to be the same as 2022 or if we're going to have an increase because it's a newly established season as far as the number of individuals that are out there.
But you would still be able to extrapolate basically the 5%, the 10% with hens. I would venture to say that it's going to be less, and that's not scientific, but there's a lot more hens than there are toms.
You're talking success rate in the fall?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just feel like that for me, by your admission and by the department, that this will have no effect on the turkey population, but yet it will provide opportunities for those hunters that want to take advantage of a fall turkey season. I just think it's a win-win, quite frankly, for our state outdoorsmen.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Cross.
I've had several people contact, and I just want to make sure I understand that negligible impact is big for me because I've had several people that want to hunt fall turkey. You know, for them, it's a different hunt than spring turkey. And I understand that and I appreciate that and respect that. But I just want to make sure that this negligible impact part, I mean, that's where the agency feels on that's where you're at on this issue, because that's going to be a big component of how I vote on this. And I just want to make sure that the agency feels that same way. It's not just you, but it's the agency and your team stating that negligible impact is just that. It's not going to affect the population for spring or fall with just bearded toms only.
Right.
Or bearded females, whatever.
So what would impact recruitment is if you're removing the females from the population.
Mhm.
The only impact that we would see is a localized impact by the removal of the toms in the fall period. In between there and spring, there's no additional recruitment. So that's one less bearded bird on the landscape that could be harvested in the spring. I think that's the best way to put it.
Okay, fair.
And I think to that point, should those numbers remain static, 175, 200 birds taken out of the population in the fall, when you're talking about a success rate of 10,000 birds in the spring versus 30,000 permits, 10,000 birds, negligible impact. I personally was persuaded by the comments we had from staff at our last meeting. And so I would just say I'm open to consideration of something today from the commission for a fall season. May not be as robust as others would like to see it. But I'm willing to entertain options.
I personally would, am in great favor of bringing back the fall turkey season for one bird, bearded, bird only, knowing that even 175 toms off the landscape or 200 toms off the landscape, knowing that another male turkey will breed those hens anyway. So it's really going to have zero impact on recruitment even the following year. And also knowing that it's been a longstanding tradition among some Kansas bird hunters to fill their fall tag behind their dogs. And that's why the season historically had ended at the end of January, which coincided to the end of quail season. It would be my position that we should bring back the fall turkey season. And because it's only one bird anyway, and the numbers, negligible either way, that we run the season through the end of January, which again, to Commissioner Carpenter's point, making more opportunities for varying Kansas hunters, whatever discipline they choose to harvest the turkeys, whatever mode of hunt they want to harvest a turkey. It would be my recommendation that we bring the season back one bearded turkey and the season ending the end of January.
When does the season end now? If we had a season.
The last one, I'm trying to remember the date. It was down to 41 days, so it was a lot shorter than what was put forward in the options. The options that were put forward ran through December 31st.
Thank you.
There's no further comment. I would assume we're at the point where we might see an option on this or a proposal on this regulation. I would offer that not going to offer it in a motion. I'm going to put it out there for discussion. I would support resident bearded October 1 to December 31. So people can make a motion as they would like. That's where I'm at.
Does that include a closure during antlered rifle season?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that's.
Mr. Chairman? I didn't hear
Yes,
you very
yes.
well. Could you repeat the motion?
Certainly, Commissioner. I have not made a motion. I just put out my opinion. My opinion
Okay.
is that I could get there, I suppose. I would support a fall season, resident, bearded only, October 1 to December 31st, not including rifle season.
And I personally agree with that proposal, except for the ending date. I would suggest the later date of the end of January. But we're in agreement with the hunt coming back, not during rifle season. My only disagreement with you, Mr. Chairman, is the end date.
Understood.
I agree, Mr. Chairman, with your position. Bearded only is the important part of that to me. The ending date, my only thought there is, numbers are down. We all know that. So, and we're giving them the opportunity. We're giving them the season back. They've got plenty of time to get in the field. And so I guess I would prefer to see the December closing date, but really it's not that big a deal, I guess.
My point with that is the last season, I believe, was 41 days, give or take. This is 90, pretty significant amount of time. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to make a motion. If the commissioner wants to offer a substitute and change that date, we can see where it goes, but I will put it on the table that I move that regulation be put into, move forward for resident bearded October 1 to December 31, not including rifle season. And I would make that as a motion. See if there's a
I'll
second.
second that.
There's discussion on that, a substitute, or however people want to proceed.
Well, the only comment I'd have, if there's not enough commissioners that would support the end of January, then obviously I'm going to join your motion because I do want the season to come back. And I mean, if we could just take it in, I mean, if.
I
you-
would support January 31st, even if we had to delay the opening to, if you want to reduce days to keep this in line, or
Well, if people want to see where the consensus is, you can offer a substitute motion with different dates, see what that happens. If that fails, we're back onto the original motion. Is that correct, Counselor? Close enough.
You're a better parliamentarian than I am. Yes.
Make it up as we go. So
Yeah, then
that is an option.
Sure, well then, I'll just take that up first, and that way then we can get back to a more broader consensus, if you will. I would move that we, Commissioner Dameron's, exact motion with the exception of, to the end of, January.
I would second that.
Discussion on that point. Commissioner Carpenter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure whether it makes that much difference. You're only allowed one turkey, so I get where you're coming from, but it is the first year that we're offering this, and it's longer than the 41 days that was in the past. And in the spirit of kind of going halfway instead of all the way, like, and I agree with you 100%. If I get a chance, and I've had a turkey permit in my pocket until they closed it every year in case I had an opportunity behind my dogs to kill a turkey. It'd be a little bit more concerning this year, or if we pass this, to make sure that that bird that I shoot has a beard. So that'll be a little bit more of a deal, but I agree with you. But in the spirit of just kind of getting on the board, a 90-day season, although I agree with you, maybe we come back and look at this next year and expand it, but we're doubling the season and we're getting our fall turkey season back, and I'd just soon kind of crawl before I walk, so to speak, on this deal. So I'm gonna support Chairman Dameron's motion.
Further comments from commissioners?
To be clear, what were the three, the option 3 was leave it the same, right, Jake?
Correct.
Okay.
Jason, can you pull those 3 options back up?
So I think we have a motion on the table. Is that right?
So we have Commissioner Mark's motion on the table, a substitute motion for the January 31st date.
I thought Commissioner Lister was gonna make a comment on 3 options.
Did you have a comment, Commissioner Lister, or you just want to?
I know, I just wanted to make sure of the 3 options, and I'm going to support what the staff biologists say. So no fall season.
Thank you.
I would then, given the pulse of the commission, withdraw my motion and side with Chairman Dameron's position then at this point.
First and the movement, the second, both withdraw.
Unless we want to consider moving that starting date back to, say, April 20th, keep your season length the same, and then those guys who want to shoot over their dog, have a chance at a turkey over their dog in January, have that opportunity. But if doesn't sound like most commission is for that, then I'm fine withdrawing.
My inclination is to stick with the framework that we discussed at our last meeting, which looked at the October 1, December 31st that staff discussed. Further comments from commissioners? With that, you want a roll call vote? You want?
Did we have a comment from the public?
Yeah.
We did have a comment.
Oh,
from the
okay,
public.
very good. Public comments.
Okay. Matt, I'm gonna unmute you now. There you go.
Hello, it's me again. Hope you guys are having a great day. Yeah, it's just, I hope it's still one spring tag and then one fall tag. I hope that's what you guys are motioning, but I drove hundreds of miles this spring. Did not see the numbers that I was wanting to see. I think turkey numbers are still down. I don't think we should open fall season. I think we should keep it one bearded turkey in the spring. I just didn't see the numbers. And with the public access we have, it's hard to get on birds. I didn't see, I don't know. It's hard for poults to make it the predation. And I don't know what the percentage of poults make it, but it's not very much. And I've seen on Facebook people videoing hens that only have 2 poults that are making it. So it's concerning still to see that many poults making it, and how many turkeys we shoot in the spring. Numbers don't add up to me to pass this. I think we should still wait and see if when numbers rebound, because I don't want to just jump into something and then we make a judgmental mistake and then we're back to square one where we have to cut fall season off again. I want to make sure we get this right and do it the right way and just wait for another fall season. And Kansas doesn't make enough money anyway for the fall season to pass this. Commissioners always wanting money aspect of it, but we're not making enough money anyway to pass fall season. So the money's not there. We're making this, we're jumping into this, and I think we should just wait another season, see when numbers actually increase and the data shows back up this year. So I hope you guys do not pass fall turkey season this year. Let's wait on it. Keep spring, one bearded Tom or Jake. And yeah, and that's my motion. Hopefully you guys make that right decision, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Matt. Have anyone else online?
Yes, I do have one from Terry Wilson again. Is there any data as to public land numbers versus private land numbers? The majority of birds, how does that benefit all hunters if they're private land numbers? That's kind of what his question was.
With the harvest survey, we do ask questions regarding where they primarily hunted, but when we're looking at it, we're looking at it at the management unit level and or statewide, not looking at a public property versus private property. But we do have some information regarding where they primarily hunted, public versus private, so we can glean some information from that.
Okay. And the other question was, when did you send out the fall surveys? They were wanting to check, make sure they got one or didn't get one.
The spring surveys?
Or spring surveys, that's what I meant.
Caleb, when did you send those? June 8th is when they went
Okay.
out initially.
That is it.
Okay, are there people in the audience that wish to comment on this?
Norman Mann again. Never heard any discussion about decoys. I don't think we should be allowing decoys out there in the spring either, because us men, we go crazy. We see a female out there, same way with deer season. We shouldn't be allowing female decoys out there. Us men, we get a little bit crazy when it comes that time of the year.
Thanks, Norman. Further comments? Hi, please identify yourself. Welcome.
I'm Janet Post,
Thank you.
and I attended both of the meetings, the one in Wichita and the one in Salina. I thought they were extremely well run. I thought the information was fantastic. I was really disappointed in the turnout because I thought more people really needed to hear what was being said. Having said that, I don't really understand the acceleration part of this. There's a normal time to take this up which is in November. Is that correct? I mean,
Correct.
that would be normally when this discussion was being held. What's the fire behind this?
I believe the request is to do something that could be put in place for
For this
calendar
year.
year 2026.
Right. And so what's behind that? I mean, I'm a little confused. It's like if you normally would take this up in November and then it would be voted on and then it would come into the next year, what's the pressure here? Why is there the fire behind this that they have to, some of the content he said isn't in yet. I mean, maybe that won't make a difference. Maybe it will. That's just what I'm concerned about. A decision being made without all of that. Some people are okay with that, but I feel like there's a part missing.
Thank you.
Is the point, it's a timing issue, isn't that correct? If we're gonna have a fall season, do we need to decide today? Or is that?
Correct. I mean, and it depends on who you talk to, but I think, like from our biologist perspective, they would, well, and don't get me wrong, scientists, we always want more information. And we very rarely just take one research result and allow it to stand on its own. We like to compile as much science as we can about a specific topic and allow, if all of that science is saying the same exact thing, then we know we're closing in on the right decisions. We received a request. I think the points that Commissioner Mark brought up are valid points. And I can understand how he can perceive that the survey results may have been skewed. And the impact to the turkey population is probably going to be very negligible, which is why we thought we could move forward. But I did want to put it back to the commission to see what your thoughts on those three options, because we had members of the public that, you know, and some of them we've seen today that were standing in opposition. And also our biologists wanted just a little bit more time to really flesh out how the turkey population is performing right now. And they would normally do that in November. So, but if we did that, it would push it, it would push the proposal back a whole another year before we could enact it.
Further comments? Commissioner Carpenter, you want to speak first? Or
Go ahead.
Please come up. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Lenore Enfield. I'm from Rice County, 3 miles east of Raymond. And I am opposed to the fall turkey hunt. When we moved to Raymond in 2003, we had a huge population of turkey on our property, 38 or more every year. And then it's just been declining until 2017, when we haven't seen a turkey on the property since. And as I go around Rice County every year looking for turkey, there are so few that some years we never even see a turkey. And this year we saw 1 hen and 1 tom, and they had 5 babies, but at this point now there's only 2 and no tom. And the tom's on the side of the road. Right, so I do not agree with the fall turkey hunt until our numbers come back up, and hopefully they will do that sooner than later.
Thank you. Commissioner Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So is this drop dead, Curtis? Is this drop dead day, or at the next, the next commission meeting, what will be in August? That's probably too late to get it on the fall. Yeah, it is. So this is drop dead. Okay. Well, I kind of remember a story from a wildlife biologist when the pheasant population in Kansas cratered back in the past. I'll just say that. I don't want to say how old I am. And I was new, and I was like, well, we need to close the season. And this old biologist said, no, it'll take care of itself. And I said, what do you mean? And it's much the same as our prairie chicken season now. The hunters aren't going to show up if it's big game hunting. And it's the same way it is right now with prairie chicken. When I was a kid, I grew up there were prairie chicken everywhere. Now, I would venture to say it would take you 2 weeks to kill a prairie chicken. And nobody spends that much time hunting them. So there are very few people that hunt prairie chicken, and I think that there won't be a lot of people hunting fall turkeys, because if it's that hard to find one, they just won't hunt. So that's my take on that.
Further public comments? Yes, sir. Introduce yourself to us.
Yeah, I'm Josh Stubbs, and I'm the president of the NWTF chapter out of Hutchinson and McPherson. I just have some more general comments. I don't know that our chapter is necessarily for or against. Most of us hunt turkeys. I think I hit 13 states this year. Prefer to do it in the spring. I don't know that it's going to be a huge difference if we open it back up to fall. But one way that you could mitigate the number of people hunting, instead of it being over the counter, you could do an application period to where those people that were interested in hunting the fall could apply in August or September. They could maybe automatically get the permit, but at least they would have to go through the process of an application. That's just one idea. The other is it disagreed a little bit with the numbers. If there were 318 overall turkeys killed in the last fall season, I wouldn't say that 174 would be killed. Just if you take out the hens, because if you don't shoot the hen and you have to shoot a gobbler, now those hunters probably would shoot a gobbler versus shooting a hen. So it'd be more probably in the 300 number. I am in favor of waiting for the 2026 numbers to come out. I personally have seen increase in population. We watch our numbers pretty close, and there was a year where we didn't even hunt turkeys on our properties just because, and this would have been back, I think, in like 2020, 21, when the numbers were really bad. I am in favor of at least waiting another cycle to see what you guys come back on the harvest numbers for 2026. One thing that I have not heard, though, is where we actually think the population numbers are. I probably would have expected a slide where, hey, was 1 million this year, was 1,000,001, in 25, and we expected, overall population to be 1.2 million. I think you really need to, and I don't even know if it's possible. I don't know if you do those overall surveys, but in this entire discussion, I haven't heard where we think numbers currently are. I think that's all I've got. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Johnny.
Could I ask him a question?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I can't see him anymore, but question, you would normally, we would expect you to be an advocate for fall hunting, right? And you're saying what? That you would like to see another year to what end?
Yeah, I'm just more concerned about population numbers. We have a very liberal spring season, which I'm very in favor of compared to some of the other states that I visit. But I'm also very sensitive to population numbers versus just opening up another season where turkeys, would be harvested. I do like the fact that we're limiting it to gobbler only versus gobblers and hens. I mean, that would be a step in the right direction if we open it back up.
But if it were gobblers only, you personally think there might be some impact on the population?
Well, anytime you take a gobbler, obviously there's going to be an impact on the overall number, but if it was 318 birds overall, that's still a very low number. What I really don't want to see, part of it is I don't want to see non-residents be able to come back in and hunt turkeys in the fall, because there's been a huge, and I'm part of it, there's been a huge number of people that now travel to numerous states. And it had something to do with COVID, I believe, because the numbers of turkey hunters that travel now have exploded. So what I would not want to see is individuals coming to Kansas for deer hunting. Now they can, and they're non-residents, now they can get a turkey permit and they can, fill their Rio tag. I think that's where you're gonna see a bigger number of fall turkeys get killed if you open it up to non-resident, but I know that's not what we're discussing here.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Attorney General Kobach said he was trying to get in on the video and he called me like 3 times. I didn't answer and he said, pick up. I would like to make a comment.
Feel free.
Okay. Yep, just a hold. Attorney General Kobach, are you on?
Yes, I am. Well, thanks for letting me make a comment this way. I've been trying for about the past 15 minutes to get through the passcodes and have been unable to. I've been listening to your very thoughtful debate on this issue, and I understand that there seems to be a emerging consensus that 90 days would be the right amount of days to move forward. And I just wanted to echo what Commissioner Riedel suggested, which is if you want 90 days, then maybe move the start date a little bit later. I think if you account for the 10 days of rifle season for deer, that would put it somewhere around October 25th or 24th. And then you'd have 90 days, and you'd also have the opportunity for quail hunters who have the opportunity that Commissioner Carpenter spoke of, and an opportunity that I, as an avid quail hunter, often take of that rare surprise when your dogs are pointing a turkey and not a covey of quail. So I think you could meet all of the objectives of those commissioners who want to have it limited to 90 days, as well as Commissioners Riedel and Mark, who are pointing out the long tradition of having it coincide with quail season. So that would be my suggestion. I would also echo that as a avid spring turkey hunter too, what I've observed in the field is this year's numbers of turkeys were even better than last year's, and last year's were much improved over the prior year. Again, it's just one person, but I can tell you that in my family with my daughters, we were universally successful in achieving spring turkeys. And so I think, as has been pointed out, it's a negligible impact on the numbers if you're talking about bearded turkeys. And if 90 days is the consensus, I would strongly urge you guys to just move the start date a little bit later than October 1st. And that's all I had to say.
Thank you, General. Commissioner Carpenter?
Well, that makes sense. I mean, as far as following birds around, so the 31st is on a Saturday. October 31st is on a Saturday. Would the commission entertain a motion to move it, start at October 31st and go till January 31st? Be my question.
I would support that.
So let's go down the path of Commissioner Carpenter. You are making a substitute motion to my motion. Change the date to start October 31st, the season end January 31st of 2027. I believe that is your substitute motion, and Commissioner Mark seconds that.
Yes.
Believe?
Yes, sir.
That's bearded only and resident only?
Correct.
Right.
Bearded,
Okay.
resident, non-gun. Non-rifle. Non-rifle. Yeah, the bow hunters would love it, but yeah. Okay, we have a motion, a second. Is there further discussion? from
Commissioner,
the commission?
Chairman, just for clarification, you did say 2027. Did you intend this to be durable or just 1 year? 'Cause-
Oh, forever.
Okay, indefinite. Okay, just to be clear.
Yeah. Discussion from the commission? Everybody good with that? That generate any more public comments?
We got in this discussion about 3 years ago about moving a date. And it got voted down at Hutchison. They wanted to move a hunting date for ducks and stuff like that. The commissioner, that was from up in Oakley. He got voted down on moving that date. So now you're manipulating the date. That was at Hutchison, the discussion.
Well, I'd make an observation that this is a new discussion because the old season 3 years ago was a 41-day season. This now is a 90-day proposal. And so since it's restart of the season, I think it's appropriate to reconsider what the dates would be.
Yeah.
Commissioner Carpenter.
And may I ask what the dates were on the 41-day season? I didn't buy a
Caleb, do you
tag.
have that? That's all right. I think that was right.
What was it?
What was that? Say that again. October 1st to November 14th. That sounds right to me.
That was the 41-day season then, 3 years ago.
We had an appropriate time to vote now?
Yes, as I, just for one more clarification, just so I make sure I have it all down. October 31st to January 31, bearded, resident only, closed during any rifle season that falls within those ranges,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
So any late season doe, you're gonna be closed in those areas, those units, that correct? That would,
I believe the intention with it is just for the antlered firearms season.
Just handle it.
Similar to what we've done with thermal.
Right, so exclude anything that we've excluded with the thermal rifle deer seasons, which does not, obviously, like it does not include, even though the night vision extends to March 31st, we don't exclude that those January seasons.
So there would
Right.
be no impact at all.
no impact during January.
Right. Everyone have an idea what we're going to vote on by voice vote? Is that correct, Curtis?
Yeah, a voice vote's sufficient to move it into promulgation.
Okay, we'll ask for a voice vote. Any commissioner that wishes to be recorded for or against is free to identify that way. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Opposed?
Aye.
Very good. My understanding would be that it passed. Thank you all very much for a robust discussion. Appreciate work staff has done. We have a little more work to do now. Perhaps not as lengthy, but who knows? Non-resident waterfowl stamp fees, senior licenses. Jake George, once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll let him get the slides up here. Okay, moving on, KAR 115-2-1, which is our fee regulation. There are two changes that I will cover, the non-resident waterfowl stamp fees and the reestablishment of the senior pass. I'll present the proposed changes and will then ask for a consensus to move this regulation into promulgation. The first is non-resident waterfowl stamp fees. This includes changes to the fees for the state migratory waterfowl habitat stamp that were included in House Bill 2507. The bill created separate issuances for residents and non-residents and set a minimum fee for the non-resident stamp of $100. There is currently no proposed change to the resident stamp fee. Next, the senior pass, which was included in Senate Bill 364. That bill again allows us to offer the 10-year senior pass. This is a combination hunting and fishing license for residents who are 65 or older. The recommended fee for the senior pass is $60, which represents $165 savings for an individual who purchases it at age 65 versus the $22.50, which they're currently having to pay annually without our ability to offer the senior pass. With that, I would stand for any questions.
Thank you, Jake. Question from Commissioner Carpenter.
Couple of questions there. So we do have the ability to raise the non-resident waterfowl stamp to $200. Is that correct?
That's correct. That was the cap in the statute.
Okay. And you've decided on 100 this year. So then on to the senior licenses. Before all this legislative stuff, we charged $45. Is that right?
I believe it was 40.
40?
Uh-huh.
And that was to cover the cost of the federal license, the federal charge of
Correct.
$4.25 for 10 years. And then after that, you don't have to have, after 75, you don't have to have a license.
That's correct. Yeah, it's set at that minimum level that the feds currently require for them to be a certified individual license holder for Pittman Robertson.
Well,
Pickle
thank you
Johnson.
for that. So previously, before that $40 fee, Kansans were always guaranteed and told that they would not have to buy a license after they reached 65 years old. Is that correct?
Correct.
So then, and having someone who lived through that period when the department charged for a senior license and put that into place, we caught a lot of flack because we had told people for 50 years that when they turned 65 years old, they weren't going to have to buy a license. I support that, and I still support that because we were not getting federal Pittman Robertson Acts and Dingle Johnson Acts because it's based on hunting license sales. I support that. But I don't support raising it to $60. I support keeping it at whatever it's required by the feds to count that license. And I think the last time I looked, it was 4 1/4 or something like that. Now, just to be sure, we can raise that at any time in the future, a few dollars or whatever, to compensate for what the feds charge for that license. Is that correct?
We would be able to go through the same process, correct, for
Right,
changes
because
to the fee rate.
the maximum is $120 on this, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that's, I'm gonna just say that right now. We've got folks, there's still some folks out here that live through that and aren't that old, and they were always told that then when they turned 65 years old, and then we made a transition to charging them $4 a year. And I think in the spirit of that, saying that they were never going to have to buy a license, that we need to charge them as least amount as we possibly can, which would be, I would recommend $45.
I have a procedural question. Can these be à la carte? I mean, like, if he makes a motion, I mean, we talked some of these other, can we just vote on that alone, or are these gonna come up one line item at a time anyway?
Yeah, you could do it. Since this is an informal vote, it's not the one contemplated by statute. You could just go fee by fee if you'd like to reach a number for each, and then we can put them all together.
As a man that's over 65, I kind of agree with Commissioner Carpenter here.
Well, I would ask the question, Jake, does that number remain accurate that Commissioner Carpenter talks about of the minimum that would have to be charged?
Correct. The minimum for us for a combination is $4.
So $45 would be sufficient.
40 would still cover it at this time.
40.
I know, but his comment was
Motion is
45.
Well, but yeah.
He was
A little
getting,
bit of slack.
he's sticking to it, just a little bit. It's not so, a little bit.
I see what you're doing.
It's a little bit, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, too, if I could
Yes,
add,
sir.
not that you need reminding of the RAINS Act, because we seem to talk about it at every meeting, but given the large number of licenses that we do sell for this range, when you go back and do an economic impact study, when you want to raise it even a few dollars, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we do sell a lot. Historically, we've sold a lot of these. So very small number changes can hit that $200,000 a year economic impact mark, which means that you would have to run a bill asking the legislature to raise fees on individuals aged 65 to 74. So looking ahead, when you're contemplating, that slack, as you put it, creating more slack in the future might run into that cap, and just to remind the commission of that.
Do you think the 45 would at this moment?
Well, according to Director George here, since it's at 4, we're fine. I think the concern from the department, if I'm stating it accurately, is that if the feds raise their floor, the minimum threshold to recoup federal dollars, that by statute, we would be stuck below the minimum charge and therefore unable to recoup federal dollars. That's the real fear about not charging enough.
And what would be your legal opinion on 45 as far as being adequate to avoid that type of a problem?
Yeah, same. My legal opinion is just, as of right now, it's obviously enough to meet it. I have it would be pure conjecture on my part to guess when the feds, if or ever they'll raise it. So I honestly can't offer
But
anything.
again, Will asked, we could always be nimble and raise it. If the feds raised, we could raise.
We would still, that was my earlier point, is that even if the feds raise it, we would still have to go through state law to raise it on our end, which then could bump into the RAINS Act, which means that there would have to be a bill to raise it. So there could be a gap. Theoretically, there could be a gap of time where the feds raise the floor. We're not charging enough to recoup. And therefore, we're not bringing in federal dollars while we're going through the process of trying to move it up. It creates kind of a nightmare, but that's also federalism. So,
Commissioner Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So how long has the Fed rate been in effect right now?
I would have to look on that.
Probably
They
30 years.
changed the formula. It hasn't been that long. That change, it was actually a reduction the last time that they did it as far as how it could be calculated. So it was beneficial to us when they went to the $2 per license hunting or fishing, or $4 for a combination that you could count for the number of individuals we were able to count. But that was in place the last time that the senior pass was, so it was within the last 10 years.
I stand by my motion.
I would second that motion if we're doing them one at a time.
Is there discussion from commissioners?
I need a clarification. When you said $4 to $5, is that $4 to $5 per year for a 10-year license, $40 to $50, or is it just $4?
It's for 10 years. It's a 10-year license is what it is. You buy it when you're 65. That's the
Right.
last license you'll ever have to buy.
I've got one, but is your motion $4 for a 10-year license or $40 for a 10-year license?
It was actually 45 for 10 years.
45, okay. So repeat the motion then, because I apparently didn't hear it right.
I would make a motion that the 10-year senior license be $45.
Which is a $15 reduction from the recommendation from staff. So from 60 down to 45. And Commissioner
and-
Mark seconded that motion.
Okay, and the $45 doesn't put us in a dangerous range relative to the federal support or
Not at this time.
No, not at this, yeah, correct, not at this time.
okay.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Based on the facts that they lowered it to $4, and it was $4 and what, 25 cents before, something like that.
They were actually basing it off of it was based off of the state's normal annual license. And then it was reduced for states that have the super type licenses, et cetera, that didn't, you buy everything as a package. They were putting a flat rate in there as opposed to basing it off of a state's license fee. To make things even across the board, I believe was the rationale for the change at the time.
So is there any indication whatsoever that they're gonna raise that in the future?
I have seen none at this point, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't happen tomorrow.
And how much traditionally has a raise been per license?
I don't think there's traditionally been any since they've gone back to the flat rate.
But it was 4.25 before that.
I think it was based off of what you were charging for an annual license. That's how much you had to bring in every year.
When we passed it, it had, the way the feds viewed it was that we had to recover the cost of producing the license. So it's gotten cheaper to produce a license. Is that why they reduced it?
No, they went from a system, say, where in order for us to count somebody as a certified individual license holder, the cost that they had to contribute for their license was equal to what our standard license was. So if we had reduced ones like this, or we had a 5-year license as an option that you could buy, and it didn't meet that threshold, we weren't able to count them every year. The change from that to the flat rate of $2 for hunting, $2 for fishing, or $4 for a combination is what they went to. That may have been, it was 10 to 15 years ago.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that they went to that. We've computed all these on about a $4.25 cost when we went through the entire process of this. This is our second year of messing with this, so I stand by my motion.
I need clarification again. I apologize, but the federal number is 4.25 now versus a motion for, on our end, for $4.50. Is that so that
To currently count them as a certified individual license holder for federal aid for a combination license, we have to collect $4 per year.
$4? So the risk range is 50 cents, right? Based on the current promotion. And I guess that's what Mr. Carpenter was asking is, do we have any history of how significant or what range of increases we've seen from them in the past? I guess that's back to my question is, are we close to a risk area here if only a 50% increase puts us in a position we don't want to be in?
It's really a shot in the dark, and as Curtis said, it'd be conjecture on my part because there's no trends to analyze or anything. There was a change in the system 10 to 15 years ago, and it's remained unchanged since that change was implemented.
Okay.
Commissioner Carpenter? Excuse me, go ahead, Commissioner Chief Heller.
Oh, well, I was just gonna ask Will if I know that the number you're proposing is important to you, but is it important enough? I mean, would $50 still get you where you wanted to be and give us a little more comfort?
At $4.50, they'd have to increase by 15% to be worse than us. And
I can't hear what he's saying.
That for us to be at risk, the feds would have to raise the allotment by 15% or greater, which would be a very hefty increase, you know, which I don't think personally that would be a risk I'd be willing to take based on what these guys have said.
Well, I think that if they raised it 50 cents a year, we have 10 years to get to $45. We would, if they went to $4.50, which I think that is not possible, but if it was, and they raised it 50 cents to $4.50, we would have 10 years of time to raise it.
Well, I would say nothing happens at the federal level overnight. I think
I don't know.
between the legislature, the commission, Congress, our congressional delegation, I think there would be opportunities to react if that became appropriate. Further comments? We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Very good. Thank you all. Keep moving forward, I guess, Curtis.
All
Anything
right,
else
was
we have
that
here?
for specific to the senior one, or were we looking at
Oh,
dash
right.
one as
We
a
got,
whole?
we got more to look
I
at.
can go back to the non-resident waterfowl stamp fees, unless that was included in the last vote.
Well, I'd offer a comment. A couple of us had a sidebar conversation with the Attorney General. I don't suppose he's still on the phone. But it talked to legal counsel. The legislature gave the commission the authority to go to $200. So the question that we asked was, with that authority, where does the Rains Act apply if we wanted to immediately go to 200? So I don't know if there's been any further clarification on that, but perhaps Curtis can enlighten us.
Yeah, I've had conversations with individuals, Secretary of State, Attorney General's office, others about, this does create kind of a conundrum. There isn't really consensus yet on exactly how this will work with the Rains Act. But it seems that we've all kind of come to the belief that charging at least $100, because the statute says that it's a minimum, it either A, acts as a pre-ratification of a regulation, putting it at $100, or it creates a statutory conflict in which the more specific, under the canons of construction, the more specific statute would prevail. Here being the direction that the secretary shall charge at least $100. And either way, either event, you get to the endpoint of charging $100 as ratified by the legislature, and should avoid Rains Act problems. How that's going to shake out during the promulgation process is yet to be seen, the details. Now, I think everybody seems to agree, though, that charging anything above $100 when you're in that discretionary zone, all of that would be allocated to a Rains Act calculation. And again, because we charge, like the senior license that I mentioned, we sell so many non-resident waterfowl stamps, even a small change, say you charged $110 versus $100, that $10 you would multiply over the thousands of non-resident waterfowl stamps, and therefore you would implicate Rains Act. And you'd have to go back to the legislature and say, okay, now we need authorization to charge 110 or 120. The belief is that we can charge 100 and push that. We have clear authority to move at 100. And I think that's why the rationale behind offering the $100 fee. Is that clear as mud?
Clear to me. Any questions in that regard from commissioners? Commissioner Carpenter?
So if that's the correct case, then the legislature authorized the non-resident or the senior license to be up to $120. Is that correct?
Yeah, 1/8 of the general hunting and fishing, which under the current rates would be 120.
Okay. So given that line of thought, we could, any raises in between that and $120, we have the authorization to do that. So I'm just saying, if we do 45 and in the wildest imagination that the feds raise theirs by $1 and we need more money, we have the authorization from the legislature to go as high as $120. Is that correct?
Not quite. The difference is that the non-resident waterfowl set a floor. There is no floor for the senior licenses. It says up to. The entire amount that's being set is discretionary to the seniors. So, and it doesn't currently exist in law. So what you set it at now has no prerequisite to compare it to. So you set the amount, and then the next fee will be compared to the prior fee. And that's how you calculate the economic impact. In the non-resident waterfowl context, there is a floor, and then there's a ceiling. And that makes all the difference in an economic impact calculation. Again, is that clear as mud? Or you want me to take another stab at that?
Kurt, I'd also add that while there was a cap set for the senior pass of that 120, that doesn't mean that we have the authority to go up to that. It would depend upon how much of an increase it was as far as the economic impact. If it still crossed that 200,000 threshold, even if we were going from 45 to 50, if it crossed that 200,000 threshold, we'd still be subject to the Rains Act.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go down a rabbit hole then. This is all in one reg, 115-2-1. We have arguably cut a fee from 60 down to 45. Does that free up any money that we could load on to another license or fee? Because it's one reg.
You know, you're not the first person to ask me this. No, the Rains Act specifically, there is no accounting you can make for savings, and you can't offset costs with savings elsewhere. So nice try, but no, the JCAR I think has made very clear that it's only the additional costs.
Okay,
So basically what you're saying is if we want to get non-residents to 200, it's going to take legislative action right now.
Correct. And quite frankly, based on the numbers, and Jake probably knows that the number of non-residents we sell, you know what that number is roughly?
Help me out, Tom. 18,000.
18,000. So you take whatever increase, multiply by 18,000, and if you hit 200,000 in that 1 year, then you're at the Rains Act. That means it's a pretty small increase each time.
stair stepping $10 a year.
Yep. Just keep running the regulation over and over again.
And that's starting at 100, right?
Yeah.
So we could do 110.
Pushing our threshold of where they're.
Which
putting the
keeps us
numbers at.
$20,000 below. Which helps us the next
Yeah.
threshold.
I think that the departments, and again, if I'm not a policymaker, I'm just the advisor here, but I think the rationale was the number is very crisp and clear at $100, and there's already going to be this discussion that I had with the chairman about what's the legal authority for getting past the Rains Act with this minimum. So the easiest thing to do is go forward with exactly what the legislature gave us authority to do.
I move we do 100. I've heard enough from legal counsel that he's browbeat us back to 100. So
I'll second that. Discussion on 100? All in favor, say aye.
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 Very good. Any opposed? I don't believe I heard anyone. Okay,
Thank you, Chairman.
that's it?
That's it for me.
Okay, Curtis?
I promise no more browbeating. This is just more clarification that the other, it may have been mentioned before that the secretary said that we would also be revoking those 5-year senior licenses in conjunction with adopting these senior licenses. If you remember, those were adopted as a gap filler until we got the statutory authority. So those will be removed when I change 2-1. And then those would be slated, these, the non-resident waterfowl and senior licenses would be slated to be voted on in the November meeting if they can get done in time. So that would fall within the midst of the waterfowl season, or to your earlier question, Commissioner Carpenter. So I just want to clarify that November is when would look to adopt this new version of 2-1.
Okay, so then.
Yes, sir.
So clarification, those folks that bought the 5-year license, they will now be converted to a 10-year license?
No, they won't, because we actually included that language in our proposed bill. But in all the wrangling, that never got put into the final bill. Even though I know Martin in particular, that we had raised it with a number of times to ask to include that language, but it was not included in the final version.
Okay, so you're gonna revoke that license. What happens to the money that they paid?
Those won't be revoked. The ones that were sold will still be in legal effect, but we'll revoke the selling of them going forward. Does that make sense? So those who have purchased them, they'll still be in effect for 5 years.
Okay. But they'll still be in effect, but they'll just expire
Yeah, at the end of the 5 years.
at the end of the 5 year. And how much were those? $50 or something, weren't they? Something like that.
Somewhere around there. And I remember we ran the numbers, there were was it a few hundred sold? A few hundred that were sold.
Yeah, I was just always under the, the understanding that those would be converted to 10-year licenses, because if they paid $50, which I think that's what they were, that would more than compensate them for a 10-year license.
Yeah, and that's why we put that language specifically in our draft bill. But I think the other bills that got out in front were pushed ahead of ours, and that language didn't get moved over.
So what kind of regulation do we have, or what remedy do we have for that situation? Can we do anything in rules and regs?
Like, what are you envisioning?
Continue just reimbursing them, or however, discontinue that and giving them a 10-year license?
I'm unaware of anything that we have right now that could reimburse them the difference and give them a 10-year license.
But did they pay more? I mean, if that's so like, and I probably have it like you have it, a 5-year, and I paid 50 for 5 years or whatever. And now it's 45 for 10.
Right, that's what I'm talking.
So everyone that purchased the 45 when they hit 65 should just be given the other 5 years.
That's right.
Bring in your license and, there's gotta be some way. Otherwise, what are you gonna charge them another 45 for the back 5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's $195 for.
If they do away with the 5-year, it's not even gonna be available.
Right, but we'd already bought it.
Right. That's what and I know
Yeah.
that was part of the original bill, was that they would be reimbursed.
That was part of KDWP's
I-
original
I-
bill, but it wasn't the bill that passed.
I get it, but is there something that we can do in regulation to make that happen?
Not that I'm aware of.
Or would that take legislation?
I mean, that's the reason why we put it in the bill, because we believed it would take legislation.
Well, keep working on that, will you?
Yeah, it's 50, I just confirmed it's $50 for the 5-year license.
Right. And I'll take a look at, see what, the revisers.
Yeah, and if
Think
there's
on
any
that.
legislators that happen to be listening, or Attorney General Kobach, if he's still listening, fix this. Go to the drawing board and fix this. Not that it matters to some of us, but there would be a few people that $50 means a lot.
Right.
It was a couple of hundred.
It was a few hundred, and that's why we put it in the original bill, because we thought those people could just be easily converted to a 10-year license, but we can take a closer look at it, and maybe that's part of the next legislative proposal package as well.
Well, they arguably have a few years more to go on the license, so there's an opportunity to
Right.
revisit that in the legislature, and at the end of 5 years, some of those might roll into the 75 age.
Yeah,
anyway.
and part of me hopes that I get the 6 years in and you're cheating me. Make it 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Okay, we through with that? Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, everyone involved. We're now back to general public comments one more time. Anybody feel the need? Revisit? Norman, welcome. You're standing between us and adjournment. I'll just let you know that. Come back here, come back here.
I've got an issue about drinking at these lakes.
I've heard it.
Okay. People are coming down from Nebraska because they can't drink at their lakes up there. They're coming to Kansas to drink in our lakes.
I think there's only 2 lakes in Nebraska that prohibit drinking.
Well, Nebraska people tell me every lake is prohibited.
I believe there's only 2 of them.
They only got 2 lakes.
No, only 2 that prohibit drinking that were big issues.
Because they're coming down to Milford all the time.
Maybe they were drunk when you told you, didn't realize the rules.
Maybe
might
they,
have been- I
maybe
might
they
have
didn't
been
want you
drunk
to go to
too, but-
Nebraska.
But that's an issue we need to discuss. Because them people are drunk and they come down here and just
Border security everywhere.
That's right.
port of entry. We used to have. We need to put somebody at these boat ramps checking these people that are drinking, because there's some crazy drivers out there.
Everywhere we go. I give you that.
But we're tying law enforcement's hands. Our fishing game, law enforcement people. Some of these people out there on them jet skis, they should not be allowed. They're not qualified to drive. Because there are accidents. I know a guy lost his farm in a jet ski accident. You start messing with my kids.
Thank you, Norman. Any further comments from the public? Anything further from Mr. Secretary and staff for us? Good of the cause?
Nope, just appreciate the process that we've gone through, especially during this meeting. It honestly exemplifies how the process should work. So, thank you all.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate it.
Secretary. I appreciate, we covered a lot of ground today and made some substantive changes. Wasn't unanimous, but I think it was a deliberative process with commissioners, and I appreciate the dialogue and the discussion. I appreciate members of the audience who took the time out of their day to be here today. I also appreciate Wildlife and Park staff. I know it's a burden for you to get out of the office, but having the broad depth of the people that we have in the audience from Wildlife and Parks means we have the people here to answer the questions, both of commissioners and from our public. Commissioner Carpenter tells me we need to talk about future commission dates. So we'll roll into that, and then I'll let other commissioners make any final comments they have. So,
Okay, so we have August 27th is set as the next date, and that one's firm because we've already got a notice of the Secretary of State that 4 regulations will be adopted at that one. That will be in Pittsburgh.
August, what's the date?
27th, Thursday, August 27th. And then I think,
Commissioner Deal, you think you can make that one, Commissioner Lista, the next meeting?
I'm gonna try real hard.
Okay, thank you.
August 27th.
Okay, Curtis?
okay, sorry, real quick. In the November one, I think we had tentatively talked about November 5th at our last meeting, and maybe you may have a hold on your calendar for that date.
Yes.
I was looking ahead, in talking to staff about where to go. I think Northwest Kansas, we hadn't been there in a while. There was a talk about perhaps moving it back so that it would come close to the Ringneck Classic up in, which is held in Colby. We were thinking of holding the November meeting in Oakley on the 19th. That would allow maybe some of you to attend the Ringneck Classic in Colby if you so wish. Although I'd say I'd prefer it no more than 3 of you together at a time to avoid open meetings act questions. But I don't know if those dates, would that work for the commission?
So move to November 19th?
Correct.
Yep, my calendar works if others.
It's the week before Thanksgiving.
Works for me.
Tough day. 19th?
Yeah.
Or if you'd rather keep it at the 5th, or 5th, 12th, or 19th would be fine, but the 19th I thought
Yeah.
would work there.
19th would be good.
Yeah.
19 works here.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where's that at, Oakley?
Oakley, and I think that's the Buffalo Bill Heritage Center, I think is what it's called, is what I think, Megan, don't we have a tentative hold?
We do have a hold. It's the Buffalo Bill Cultural Center.
Love it.
Nice place.
And then I think we don't have a legislative calendar yet for next year, I don't believe. So typically, I think last January, we waited till we had that in hand to set the January meeting.
Okay?
Unless you'd like to go ahead and just put a tentative date down, we could.
No, we should get something later this fall on that. Got the calendar set. Departing words, Commissioner Cross.
I don't have any, thank you.
Any other commissioners, Carpenter?
I would just like to say, I think we have the greatest staff. We ask, at least I do ask some probative questions, but you guys always have answers, always forthcoming. Appreciate the dialogue. Don't think it's confrontational. I think it's healthy, and I do appreciate everything that, Mr. Secretary, you bring to the meetings, the staff that you have at your table, as well as all the other, staff that come and present and answer questions. I think they're incredible. Thank you.
Commissioner Riedel?
I think you have that coming, and everybody have a safe trip home.
Commissioner G. Feller? Dr. Lister, any comments to go?
Just ditto
Good.
that.
Commissioner Carpenter?
And I too would like to take the staff, and I think, folks need to realize that it's not, I'm not being confrontational. I just want the department to be the best department it can be. And so I'll ask as many questions and do whatever I need to do, but end result is making this department the best department we've ever had. So thank you.
Thank you all for coming. We're adjourned.